gonna be a minute delay on the streaming.
Okay.
Yeah, Jess is gonna text me and confirm that it's all set. Good evening. I now call to order the September 30th, 2025 meeting of the Licensing and Taxation Committee to order. The time is 6 p.m. My name is Joshua Bowman, Alderman of the 2nd Ward, and I serve as chair of this committee. The members of the committee will now state their names for the record, starting with Alderman Caldwell.
Micah Caldwell, 1st Ward Alderman.
Teddy Palashek, 6th Ward.
Let the record reflect that a quorum of committee is present and we may proceed with business. We now move to item 3, open forum. At this time, members of the public may address the committee. Please state your name and ward.
Hello, my name is Eddie Wilkowski, and I'm a business owner in this town. I've been in this industry for the last 22 years, and I own 7 bars with gaming. I have one in Lyons, named Marlins, one in North Riverside called the Sweet Spot, and I have 5 locations here in Berlin. I own the Garage Smokehouse and Bar, Off the Tracks, House of Slots, Hideout Lounge, and For Old Time's Sake. I also currently sit on the board of directors of the BDC. I have so for the last 4 years, and I'm also currently the director of the Lions with Hook Business Association for the last 12 years. And in the past, I've sat on the board for economic development in Orland Park, where I lived there for 20 plus years ago. I've done business in Orland, Palos, Tinley, Lamont, Chicago, Bridgeview, Summit, to name a few, and some that I've forgotten. So I've had a good chance to see how government works. I'd also like to add that my opinions today have nothing to do with the BDC or any of its board members or of the director, David Husselberg. I'm here to talk about proposed changes this council is set to talk about on video gaming licenses. First, the fees. Berwyn is already one of the highest around at $1,000 per machine. Brookfield is at $250 per machine. North Riverside, $300. Lyons, $250. Broadview, $250. Forest View, $500. That's to name a few. Cicero, which you're using as your template for change, is the highest at $1,500 a machine. To us businesses, that's a high number and completely out of line. That's one of the reasons I would never open a business in Cicero. Your tiered pricing structure, I feel, is inconsistent, considering the smallest earners' fees would still go up from $1,000 to $1,250 per machine, $1,500 for middle earners, and $2,000 for the highest earners. So if you happen to hit 99,000 plus, just barely, that means $12,000 a year for 6 machines. Really? If you fall into that highest category, that almost sounds like bookie juice to me. I mean, that could literally mean over 10% of our revenues would have to go to the city then. In a time when we just made it through COVID, are dealing with tariffs and rising prices, and in some areas of urban and in some areas of Berwyn, where property taxes have almost doubled for commercial businesses, it's just not good. We have ICE threatening a large Hispanic population here in Berwyn. With all of these factors, we have seen a decline in customers. With our costs going up, and now we're looking to face a fee increase. If anything, our fees should go down, not up. This could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Yes, Berwyn has a lot of places with gaming, but it looks as though we have plateaued out and the market seems fully saturated. Most of these gaming locations went into vacant storefronts that would otherwise still be vacant. With these fee increases, you will probably see people go out of business. Normal mom and pop ice cream shops, repair shops, and the like that went out of business earlier and left these spaces vacant. They won't be coming back again if those spaces open back up. This will lead to more vacancies. Is that what you want? To push business out of town, or not make it attractive for businesses to come here? Doesn't sound pro-business to me. There's 18 locations right now in town that make $2,500 or less a month. If these increases go into effect, operators have the right to pull out. That's 18 businesses that will close their doors because they won't be able to make it. The village will lose licensing fees, the city will lose licensing fees and the taxes that are generated from these businesses. Secondly, I'd like to also address the 2-year waiting period for licenses. I feel that that is unacceptable for gaming licenses. Gaming revenues help pay the bills and do payroll. Waiting 2 years is not acceptable for what you guys propose. You wanna see new businesses come into town, and with a wait for 2 years, and if current businesses that are seeking a gaming license have to wait 2 years, they will be out of business before you make up your mind if they can get it or not. There's no reason to strip our mayor of that responsibility. The people of Berwyn voted him in, the people of Berwyn have confidence in him, let him do the job he was elected to do. Again, it's strange you use Cicero as a template for fee increases. That's one of the reasons I don't do business in Berwyn, or in Cicero, as I stated before. Another reason I don't do business in Cicero is pay-to-play politics, something you're also talking about. I think it's shameful for suggesting that any elected official in Berwyn here would stoop that low. This isn't Cicero. This is Berwyn, run by a man who has dedicated 20+ years of his life to public service, a man whose integrity is unparalleled, and a man who puts the people first, and to suggest otherwise is just wrong. Good politicians need money to run a campaign, and limiting where it comes from is also wrong too. It should be all or nothing. You can't pick and choose where they're gonna get campaign contributions from. Again, this ain't Cicero. We are Berwyn strong. Thank you for listening to me, and I would hope that you don't pass any of these resolutions that you guys are gonna talk about today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No?
My name's Matt Olson. I live in the 2nd Ward. I don't have a formal note or anything, but I just want to make it known that I'm excited that there's finally some sort of movement on this and talking about potentially limiting gaming within Berwyn. As the previous gentleman just stated, revenue is down at lots of gaming places, but it seems to me like lots of people don't want to go to bars with gaming. You can ask yourself, gee, why are my revenues down? We have a gaming location, gaming location, gaming location right next to each other. Like that's not somewhere I want to go, so that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to point out that in 2024, Berwyn received $906,152.62 from the gaming revenue in Berwyn. So you guys are, I think that's just for 2024, I pull up 2025 year to date. So the money generated is helping the city, and I don't know what you guys are doing with the money and whatnot, but it is going towards probably schools, et cetera. I understand, the gentleman said, there's locations in Berwyn that don't have gaming that you guys can go to, and I work for one of the gaming companies, and my locations, and I've been in many of other locations, their gaming areas are usually secluded. They're not right on top of if you're drinking or dining in, things like that. They keep them respectfully away for families and children. So, but I just think that in making more, charging more money to the business owners, and then with the price of employees, everything going up with that, Eddie's right, businesses are going to leave, and then you're going to have vacant. You guys have worked so hard to achieve what you have in Berwyn. I came from Cicero, so seeing what you guys have achieved in Berwyn compared to what Cicero is doing is remarkable. Bringing businesses in, what you guys did 22nd in Harlem and things like that. So I just think you're shooting yourself in the foot by trying to pass something like this.
And could you tell me your name for the record?
Carmela.
Do you have a solution? No.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, Michael Solway. I am in complete disagreement with most of the people in this room. I think the proliferation of these type of businesses are not good for Berwyn. $900,000 based off of what are we, 140 million in action on those things is pittance. That's not even real money, folks. Come on. We don't even know what that money is used for. These businesses put a stain on this town. These businesses discourage other businesses, clothing stores, restaurants, other types of entertainment for people. they discourage those businesses from coming to this city. Also, I'm seeing things that they open businesses for children, like a boba shop on Roosevelt Road, which is now closed down, blackened the windows, there's now another gaming parlor. I don't wanna see any more of them. In fact, I'm hoping that enough people in this city will have a grassroots petition to put a referendum on the next ballot for the next election to stop any future gaming coming to Berwyn. We don't want any more. I live near the depot. Nobody walks around in the depot
For how
at
long?
night. How long have I lived here?
Yeah.
20 years. How long have you lived here?
I've owned the bar for 23.
Well, I lived here for 20 years, and I've seen the depot decline because of what's in the depot now.
What's in the depot? What's in the depot?
You really want me to be
Folks,
quiet
while
on
we're
this?
doing,
Yeah.
while we're doing open forum, if we could just make sure that it's one at a time, just to
Yeah.
make sure that we're not getting back and forth.
Well, we don't have too many restaurants, we have a lot of gaming, and we don't have a lot of families walking around at the depot at night. It's certainly not the family-friendly place, and it's gonna discourage certain types of people from moving to Berwyn. And that is true, that is a fact. People with families are not gonna wanna move and live next to these businesses. And I have lived here for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of change, and I also disagree. I think the mayor has done a lousy job. He's
Some
sunk this.
change.
I got the floor here, buddy. The mayor has sunk this city into debt. And I've said my piece on this, and this is not a debate. This is just a forum.
Okay, does that mean now or no?
Oh, I'm finished, yeah.
Thank you.
Yield the floor.
Does that mean now or no?
If you will.
Okay, so why don't you take 2 or 3 or 400,000, invest in a business to change it, and then when you get your ass kicked by taxes,
My ass is already getting kicked by property taxes.
He has
I
no
don't like
idea.
property
You
tax.
have
You
no
think
idea
that's
what
the
property
biggest thing?
taxes are.
Excuse me.
sales tax.
Hang on.
One at a time, please.
I moved here 20 years ago, my property taxes were $4,000. They're $19,000 now.
We're gonna try and just do one at a time. Open forum is meant to be addressing the committee instead of between folks who are in attendance. I understand that there's other conversations that need to happen. Let's try and keep focused. There's a lot to discuss today, so let's just try to keep things oriented. You're welcome to.
You guys have a nice day. You're not being realistic.
So, my name's Nick Cosentino, and, you know, as, this young lady, mentioned, Berwyn received $900,000+. That was just the 5% share, that they received from the state. That didn't include the $1,000 per machine, and I believe there's 350 machines, so it's well over you know, 1.2 million. That money is earmarked for nothing specific. The city can do whatever they want with that money. So if they wanna put it towards lowering taxes, or, you know, fixing up the ballparks, or fixing up the streets, or fixing up the depot, whatever it is, they can do that. You know, so these machines bring a lot of money, but it just doesn't, that's a plus to the city. But the plus to the bar owners who, Tommy alluded to, spending the money, you know, I own Flight 22, I spent $300,000 to build Flight 22, and it's a very nice place. And whether anyone wants to patronize it or not, doesn't matter, I cleaned that place up. It was an empty building. Okay, so I spent all this money on this place, and I'm barely making it, okay? And to have an increase in licensing is only gonna hurt me. It's gonna come out of my pocket. It's gonna literally come out of my pocket. But again, you know, Eddie mentioned earlier, 18 locations that are making $2,500 or less. Those places will close up. And you're not just, it doesn't end with them closing. You know, you're losing, how about all the jobs that those locations create? All those employees lose their jobs, you know, so, you know, all the vendors that sell product to those locations are not selling it. The city's not making sales tax dollars, the cities are not making, liquor license fees. It just goes on and on and on. It's just not as simple as, hey, let's find a spot to tax. You know, this whole government loves to tax tobacco, alcohol, gas, you know. Find another way. Find another way. Quit beating on the small business. Small business struggles as it is. You know, McDonald's doesn't get hit with anything like this. You know, that's nice for them, but it's hard for us. So,
Thank you.
And one more thing, I mean, because I work and see what other municipalities are doing, there's no reason to penalize the business owners that have been here for 10, 15, 20 plus years, keep the community striving and employing, which was a great point, Nick, employing, having all these employees, it will be a downward spiral. But you can limit, it's, you know, you have X amount of licenses, you have to wait for one, you know, I mean, it could be like 6 months, 2 years is extreme. So there are things that you guys can do. I mean, I'd be willing to have, you know, like my team call you and let you know what some other municipalities have done that have worked in a positive way. But just to do this to the business owners it's just really sad.
you know, one other thing, as far as the gaming cafes go, I'm not sure if everyone understands this or realizes this, but the main player in a gaming cafe is a 45-year-old woman and up. So, if 45-year-old women and up are a threat to anybody else in the community, I'd be shocked to realize that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay, so as far as saying that this is bringing the city down, I've been in business with my family for over 57 years. Actually, my anniversary will be tomorrow. My parents came in 1968 and started Wagner's Lounge. Through those 57 years, I have seen numerous changes. And again, you've seen vacant storefronts. And that's causing problems where you have rats and you have all other types of issues. Getting a business in there, you need the business, and you don't need to be hitting the small businesses with ridiculous tax increases and license fees. We're just trying to struggle to get by and keep the community going.
And then your name for the record?
Randy Wagner.
Thank you. Anybody else? Please.
Andy Soteropoulos, 3271 South Harlem Avenue. President of the BDC, Vice President of the BDC for 4 years. President of the BDC for 5 years during COVID, not speaking on the behalf of the BDC. And I fully understand how Robert's rules work, so if you guys do not want to entertain my questions, fair enough. There are currently 900, there was 900 business licenses in the entire city of Berlin. There were 300 F&B. Might be mistaken now, it's been a couple of years since I've been out of that role, and I'm not speaking for that entity. Out of 300 F&B licenses, 66 as of August, last month, were licensed as gaming locations. Out of those 66, and this is on igb.gov, so it's verifiable, there are 159 machines in the entire city of Berlin. So automatically, beginning of the year, every business owner in this room gives the city $359,000. The bump to the Aldermanic pay range is $280,000. And you guys had the option to turn it down, and nobody did. We could say that we're gonna do community budgets, BS. That's not a budget. It's how you guys spend your free money. Everybody had a decision to make. Nobody turned down the $280,000. Me and everybody else in this room paid $350,000. On top of that, as of last month, which was August, which is the slowest month of the year. Everybody in here could be a parent, child, they gotta pay for school stuff. The city of Berwyn made $79,311. taken over 12 months on our slowest month of the year. That's just under $1 million a year. Nobody's gonna make up $1 million in property taxes because all the businesses, which make up less than 50% of every pin in Berwyn, pays more in property taxes than every other private residence in Berwyn. It's real money. A year and a half ago, before you guys were elected, and I'm not picking on you two, I've known Teddy for years, we're not close friends. Rich is my alderman. I'm not talking Smith. But for 2.5 years, maybe longer, we hear about the red light camera on Cermak. Oh, it's a grift. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this. Then it goes away during construction and Berwyn loses $1.2 million.
Actually, two.
Thank you for the correction. How far did Berwyn fall short last year?
2 million.
Who's making up for it?
I don't know.
You will know. The residents are. And the businesses are going to make up over 50% of it. Because the 900 businesses in the city of Berwyn contribute more than 50% of the property taxes in Berwyn. You want to go outside of Berwyn? I won't even talk about Cicero like I think Tommy did, or no, Eddie did. Not an issue. Go to Forest Park. Forest Park, with all due respect, I would never live in Forest Park. The one street that kept Forest Park alive was Madison Street. Nobody can argue that. They got gaming. Businesses continued. COVID happened. Stuff happens. The world happens. Nobody says nothing. All of a sudden, after COVID, everybody in Forest Park doesn't want the machines. Fine. Referendum. Take away the machines. How many bars and restaurants closed in the last 2 years in Forest Park?
Multiple.
7 off the top of my head. Where are those property taxes being made up from? The residents. I'm not saying, I have 6 machines. It is what it is. I have an 81-year-old diner. I was born here 43 years ago. I came back after being corporate after after my father almost passed away 15, 20 years ago. I don't need to run a restaurant. I do it because I love it. Gaming, it is what it is. You guys want to look at the real issues of densely populated gaming stuff where there shouldn't be 3 or 4 gaming locations in one thing? Do it. You guys are city council. You vote on everything. You guys limited how many barbershops could be on 2 goddamn blocks. If you want to limit how many barbershops could be on 2 blocks, limit the gaming on 2 blocks. Who cares? That's not the question. I'm saying 2 years ago, you guys, we cut off the cameras, and you're 2 million short. Exactly what the cameras said. Now you're going to cut another 2 million, and then where's that coming from? Again, nobody has the answers because nobody wants to up taxes. But again, when 900 business pins in this city generate more than all of the residential pins, you have to listen to us. And again, residents, I respect, I grew up here. I have a business here. I've donated to multiple generations of baseball, soccer, anything. When anybody needs a donation, they go to small businesses in Berwyn. And 9 out of 10 of us, thank you. We don't care. We want the community to go up. You don't like that I have a gaming room that's tucked in 30 feet away from my main dining room that your kid doesn't need to see? Don't eat by me. Ronaldo has a gaming lounge on Roosevelt. You don't like gaming? Don't go. Eddie's got Marlins. Eddie's got Off the Tracks. Don't go. Flight 22, he's got great wines. You don't wanna drink wine by his bar? Don't go. That's not the issue. But if you think, again, our property taxes and our licensing fees and our commitment to the city is less than a handful of residents, and I respect everybody's view. I respect everybody's view. But this is America. You don't have to go drink by Randy's bar. You can get a Bud Light anywhere. You could go to Jewel and drink on your couch. You don't want to have a Bud Light by her? Don't. It is what it is. You don't want to have pancakes by me because I hide machines 25 feet away from any kid in a private room? Go somewhere else to have pancakes. That's not the issue. The issue is we're talking about money, we're talking about changes, and we're not giving the full story. The full story is on the slowest month of the year throughout gaming, and you have multiple business owners and reps from gaming companies here that says August is always the slowest day of the month. That's 80,000. Multiply by 12. 960,000. An additional almost $400,000 in gaming revenue or licenses. $1.25 million. I apologize. 1.2 million. You guys couldn't come up with the red light cameras 2 years ago, last year, or this year. Where are you going to come up with the next 1.3 million? That's on top of our business license. That's on top of our insurance. And to put it in perspective, because again, people think they have big bills and they have no idea what big bills is. 181-year-old diner, end of May through June of this year, to insure my property in your ward, needed 5 policies and $24,000. My second parking lot, before I had to pay thousands of dollars to an attorney, was $18,000 for a parking lot. On top of the business. This isn't right. We pay our fair share. And then when I saw the equitable, I don't even know what it said, the licenses with the done, this, that.
We'll go into that, but go on.
Okay, that's fine. That's already in the works. The flat fee, and you chose Cicero, and it is what it is. I like Cicero, Larry Dominic, whatever, I don't care. I would never do business in Cicero. I love all of them. I do business with them. I help them. $1,500. Makes no difference. Minus $1,500, Berwyn's the cap out of the next 7 to 8 cities and villages northeast, northwest, and south of us. And then on top of it, to make it equitable, you guys, as the city, automatically get a 5% stake. So everybody starts off at 1,000, and then the bigger earners automatically pay more to you. Because if I make $200,000, you get 5% of $200,000. If the bigger guy does $500,000 and gets 5% of $500,000, you're already making that extra money. It's not fair at the end of the day that we all start at point A, but somebody does better, and then his license gets cracked $250, $500. When we're already paying that extra money. At the end of the month, and you can look at the readouts from the state of Illinois, the state of Illinois makes more money off the top than the gaming company running the entire company and the location. It used to be 33, 33, 33.
Now it's 35 years ago.
And now it's 35.
So we're at
Year
35.
to date, the state made $3,864,743.
One person at a time, please.
No, I'm saying, it used to be a three-way split. Go ahead, Eddie.
We used to get 35%, the vendor got 35%,
And the state,
got 30%.
okay,
So then the state changed their rules.
33.
Now it's 33.
No,
And
no.
then-
No, they changed it again after.
So now they're talking to my lobbyist.
35.
The state gets, I
So-
thought, yeah.
State
Well,
gets-
this-
After talking to my lobbyist friends down in Springfield, the state's gonna be doing another increase, that they're gonna be taking more away from the vendors and our locations, and the state will be receiving more. They're gonna jack it up to 40%. That's what's in legislation right now down in Springfield. So again, we're gonna lose more there. So at the end of the day, it's almost like, why are we gonna keep doing business, you know? Sorry, Andy, to interrupt.
No, much appreciated. Yeah, there was 3 changes. Again, I'm not,
But this is what the state is doing.
Any, oh, sorry, go ahead.
2025 is again, since COVID, everybody's, oh, this is the worst time in business ever. Business owners have heard this for 5 years plus. And with all due respect, you don't make an announcement that can affect an opening and a closing of business on a Friday for a Tuesday without notifying any of the 66 licensed businesses. 66 out of 900 in the entire city of Berwyn. I understand you guys aren't happy with the densely population of machines in Berwyn. Okay, guess who's the most densely populated city in Illinois out of Chicago? Berwyn. It goes hand in hand. It's not a conspiracy. It's not this cabal. It's not this. It is what it is. It's business, man. And unless you have to sign the front of a check every day and not the back of the check, you're not going to understand. That's it. And I say that with no disrespect. When you have to sign, when your name's on the front of the check and not the cashier portion, it makes a difference. With your $20,000 plus insurance payments, with your $250,000 payroll plus taxes, with every other licensing and nitpicking, it makes a difference. I don't want to be Cicero, like you guys made it in the example, but at the same damn time, I don't want to be Forest Park and Madison Street when they're all shutting down, because that's garbage right now. They had one street and they destroyed it. And we're trying to destroy an entire city. I'm done. I'm good. Thank you.
Very well said, thank you.
Anyone else?
Before we get started, one of the things I do want to bring forward was that in the past, I don't know, it's 9, roughly, it'll take a year or two, there is an ordinance that I did pass that has a limit on gaming cafes. So you already have something on the books that already limits the amount of gaming cafes in the city. So we already have something on the books.
Gaming cafes, yes, not gaming establishments.
No, but I'm just saying, we already do have legislation already on the floor.
It's one of the same, though, establishment.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, but no,
it's
to your point.
But there's something
To your point,
already-
that's already there.
All right, anybody else for public forum?
Are you going
Yeah,
to say
with that.
why you want to do this?
So we're going to go into a presentation next, once you close.
Yeah.
public forum.
Okay, so my name is Johnny Reyes, okay? I heard all of you with a lot of passion, which is great. I'm a resident here, but we all have to come to terms that whatever business doesn't make up Berwyn by itself. It's a combination of community, which are residents and businesses. My suggestion, Mr. Bowman is our new alderman. Thank God we got the alderman to represent our ward, the ward I live in, okay? I think what we need, or I would suggest, as our elected officials, go out and relook at and balance Berwyn out, so that it has a healthy mix of gambling, a healthy mix of education, a healthy mix of parks for our young adults, all right, our children, and that we attract more younger, 'cause I'm not getting any younger. And a 45-year-old woman that's working at your playing at your establishment, she's not getting younger. Eventually, she's gonna retire and go away. And you're gonna need the new pulse that's gonna make up the face of Berwyn here, who is that gonna be? What's it gonna be? Okay, it's gotta be a nice, healthy mix. So, I'm hoping that the alderman that represents our ward with the other aldermen will put their minds together and make it healthy and not go in just blanket statement, another police officer at the district, at District 201 Morton West, without any of us knowing that we need another one. Really, what's 2 officers gonna do to what? That large institution, if they decide to riot? We're gonna need the police, the next one to control those children. So I hear everybody, I'm glad to hear all of this passion, but it's not just one set of businesses that makes a Berwyn. It's not just one type of community that makes Berwyn. It's a lot of us that live here, okay? And we're all going through changes. We all live in the state of Illinois. We know the Illinois state is one of the highest states, and there's nothing we can do about that unless we go and vote people in that will help and recognize what Berwyn needs, because we're in Berwyn. What Forest Park needs. I don't want to speak about Forest Park. I don't live there. I'm not going to say that their downtown is a shambles. I don't live there. We need somebody from Forest Park there, and I don't care about Forest Park right now. I care about Berwyn. I care about what I see here. I want to see a healthy balance. I want to see our elected officials work together and do something for the Berwyn community. Thank you.
I like to say that I love that, that's really awesome, and I think you're right. As a community, it's not just our 66 establishments, it's the whole community. So whatever amount of money that the village is looking to make up for their budget, I think we should all share in it. Maybe we raise your real estate taxes, your real estate taxes, you raise our gaming licenses, but let's do it collectively. So now maybe it only costs us $50 a license. I can handle that, not $1,000, but you're sharing it too. I love it. I think you're spot on. I think you got something there.
I think it was 1,000, it should be half, right, 500.
Okay.
All right.
Alright.
So the whole community is, how many residents there? How many
66,000.
Parcels?
900
Parcel numbers?
businesses.
900 businesses, yeah, let's get it from everybody.
All right, thank you all for all the speakers. Public comment is now closed. So next up, let me get a second. So, again, thank you all for attending today and allowing me to present to not only this committee, but to you all. Frankly, I think this is the way legislation needs to be done in the city of Berwyn, so you all have that voice. You can bring in here and voice your opinions. Today, that's not always the case. So I'm giving you that opportunity, and I thank you all for sharing your passionate pleas and explanations of why you may not want something like this, whether you're for or against. So, what does responsible gaming oversight look like? Gaming establishments are an established reality here in Berwyn. They're not going away. This proposal doesn't make them go away. Okay, so full stop. Gaming stays in Berwyn with this proposal. What we need to do is intentionally assess both the economic benefits and the potential social impacts of gaming operations within our community. We need to implement robust safeguards to protect vulnerable populations and ensure that community welfare remains a top priority. And we need to establish clear and enforceable regulations that balance revenue generation with ethical oversight and resident protection. So why do we need reform? Berwyn has the highest densities of gaming establishments in Illinois, creating an unhealthy concentration in commercial corridors where we've invested millions and millions of dollars in recent years. The current licensing process lacks proper city council oversight and voting requirements, removing critical public accountability. There's a need to balance gaming revenue with community welfare and ensure diverse business development, not just gaming cafes or establishments that have gaming. Gaming operations must truly benefit residents through dedicated funding for public health, youth programs, and community services. This approach aligns with national best practices seen in the National Council on Problem Gambling, with the GRIT Act, which advocates for dedicating a portion of federal sports gambling revenue to addiction research and treatment. And political integrity. We propose prohibiting campaign donations from gaming entities to ensure licensing decisions are made based on merit rather than political influence. This ensures that gaming operations cannot use financial contributions to sway elected officials and maintains the integrity of our democratic process. So what are the proposed changes? There's 5 pillars here. One, something we've talked about in open forum, is the tiered fee structure, and to implement a tiered fee structure based on net terminal income. Effectively, the more you make, the more you pay, the less you make, the less you pay. Council authority on gaming licenses. Establish council authority requirements for video gaming licenses, so it's not unilaterally decided by a single person, which it is today. A gaming moratorium, not a waiting period, a moratorium, and an ad hoc committee. So the 2-year moratorium on new gaming licenses, and to establish the ad hoc committee so it can address the economic and social vitality concerns by allowing for careful review and strategic planning. Campaign contribution prohibition. Prohibit the campaign donations from gaming entities to elected officials and candidates. This ensures community benefit by preventing undue political influence and maintaining the integrity of decision-making processes. And then a community investment fund. Channel all gaming licensing revenues, into a dedicated fund for specific community programs. This addresses the community benefit pillar by supporting public health and addiction prevention services, youth and after-school programs, community beautification projects, residential fire safety programs, and affordable housing and tenant assistance. So what does that fee structure look like? Currently, Berwyn pays, Berwyn's licensing fee is at $1,000 per VGT. There are 383 VGTs in the city of Berwyn today, and 71 licensed establishments. And a handful of others already approved and on the way. Cicero's at $1,500 per VGT. What my proposal introduces is a tiered structure where those that are making less, those mom and pops, will pay a little bit more to have gaming in the city of Berwyn. Those making in that middle tier, will pay $51. Those making the most, and over $1 million those making over $1 million in debt terminal income are gonna pay more to have gaming in the city of Berwyn. Why do we need council authority and democratic oversight? We approve as council handicap parking spaces. We approve street closures for festivals and community events. We approve permits for block parties. What we don't approve is video gaming licenses, despite their significant social and economic impact, and they are decided by a single individual. This lack of council oversight removes critical public accountability from a matter profoundly affecting community well-being. So what is the strategy? How do we go approach this? We introduce a 2-year pause on issuing new gaming licenses, allowing for a thorough impact assessment. We establish an ad hoc committee to allow for transparent monitoring, policy recommendations, and stakeholder engagement. And we earmark all gaming licensing revenues to be channeled into a dedicated fund for community programs, with fund expenditure categories including public health and addiction prevention services, youth and after-school programs, community beautification projects, residential fire safety programs, and affordable housing and tenant assistance.
Alderman, can I interrupt for a moment, or do you want to wait till after?
If you can wait for the questions to the end.
Okay.
Thank you. Campaign Contribution prohibition. This critical measure is designed to prevent undue political influence in gaming licensing decisions and uphold the integrity of our local government. It protects or safeguards the electoral process from potential corruption and ensures that decisions are made in the public's best interest, not influenced by special interest. It ensures, it guarantees that video gaming licenses are granted based on merit and compliance, fostering a level playing field for all businesses. And it reinforces citizens' confidence in the transparency and accountability of city officials and the regulatory framework. So what is the economic and community impact? Revenue generation. We project an increase in municipal revenue will support essential city services, including public safety, infrastructure maintenance, and community programs without raising property taxes. It creates a level playing field. Fair regulations create equal opportunities for all businesses, fostering healthy competition, local economic growth, and attracting new investment to Berwyn. Public safety. Enhanced licensing and enforcement protocols provide stronger public safety and health protections, benefiting both residents and visitors to our community. And it aligns strategically. These reforms align with Berwyn's broader development goals and community standards, supporting our vision for sustainable growth. And finally, it's a critical revenue need. The council was just presented last week with the 2024 annual audit showing flat revenue projections that will remain stagnant for the next 2 years. These increased fees will generate much needed revenue for the city currently lacks. We also need to acknowledge the public health considerations. Gambling addiction, officially recognized as a mental health disorder, that's not an opinion, that's officially recognized. This concern is of particular concern for high Latino populations, such as Berwyn. Implementing thoughtful regulations and public health initiatives is crucial to mitigate the adverse impacts of gambling addiction, safeguarding the well-being of our residents and fostering a healthier community. So why now? Video gaming growth and influence. We've seen since 2012 significant growth in VGTs across the city. We've seen increased terminal capacity. We're going from, in the last 5.5 years, from 5 to 6, which many businesses have already adopted. And we've seen gaming industry contributions. The gaming industry's influence is evident through tens of thousands of dollars in political donations, highlighting its significant stake in local policy. The aim is to prioritize common sense regulatory framework that levels the playing field for all businesses and centers the needs of Berwyn residents, ensuring decisions are made free from undue influence. We have an overconcentration crisis. The sheer volume of video gaming establishments creates an unhealthy saturation, eroding the diverse commercial appeal and residential quality of our neighborhoods. This overconcentration directly impacts Berwyn's unique community character, fostering an environment that prioritizes gaming over vital local businesses and family-friendly attractions. We have the highest density in Illinois. That's truly based on the size of Berwyn, but also the density of the gaming establishments in Berwyn. We also want to acknowledge the impact on commercial rift. Once a video gaming is introduced in a commercial location, it creates higher revenue potential for the business operating there, making the property more desirable and profitable. And 2, landlords then factor this increased revenue potential into their rent pricing, leading to artificially inflated commercial property rents across areas with video gaming establishments. 3.
Sorry, we can't, my apologies, you can't close that door. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I understand,
I get it. It's just can't.
just for own reasons.
3, this makes it almost a necessity for business owners to introduce video gaming themselves, as it becomes crucial to generate sufficient revenue to help cover the inflated rent costs. 4, even new businesses moving into former video gaming locations are seeking space in the areas that face these elevated rent rates, essentially forcing them to consider gaming operations that remain viable. And then 5, this cycle crowds out traditional businesses, especially family-friendly restaurants, bars, and other establishments that do not rely on video gaming. This leads to a less diverse commercial landscape and creates an unfair competitive environment where gaming businesses benefit at the direct expense of family-oriented businesses who cannot compete with artificially inflated rent structure driven by gaming revenue potential. This predatory dynamic actively harms the vibrancy and the health of our community's commercial districts. So addressing some of the anticipated concerns, increased fees will burden small businesses. Fee adjustments are modest, based on NTI, and include targeted relief options for qualifying small enterprises to ensure sustainability. Those that make more, pay more. Those that make less, pay less. These reforms will kill businesses. These reforms actually promote diverse business development and keep commercial rents competitive by preventing gaming over-concentration, which we have today, from driving up rents and crowding out other business types. This is anti-gaming. On the contrary, we recognize gaming is here to stay, and our goal is to improve it. If we can review permit fee schedules for residents and make them pay more, we should absolutely do the same for video gaming establishments to ensure fairness and proper regulation. So a summary of proposed reforms for the committee to review. We want to address overconcentration. We want to affirm council authority. We want to boost economic and social vitality. We want to maximize community benefit, and we want to uphold political integrity. As chair of the Licensing and Taxation Committee, I have outlined critical areas for reform regarding video gambling in Berwyn. These proposed changes are designed to address the overconcentration of establishments, affirm council authority, boost economic and social vitality, maximize community benefit, and uphold political integrity. Now it is imperative for the committee to move forward and review all these proposed changes. Thank you all. For questions.
So I understand, this is government, like you said, government at its best, we're discussing and figuring things out. I know that there are some changes that you want to do, obviously you've written it all out. Did you have any discussion with either with legal or with the mayor about any guidance of what you're trying to accomplish here?
I know what's at stake with gaming, and I know who benefits from gaming from a political standpoint in the city of Berwyn. It was in my best interest to bring this to committee, and that's how everyone else was notified.
Okay. That is your interpretation, and I will respect it, but I have a different view on that. This is not some of the revenue that you're discussing about increasing the fees and then taking the money away from the general fund and going to some of these programs. It's not like the revenue that you're creating is or the revenue that you're talking about is created. It is actually taking away from the general fund. And we just found out that we're not in a good situation. So my question is what do you plan on, I mean, it's literally gonna come back down to raising everyone's taxes. And so I'm sorry.
Subjective.
I think, it is kind of putting into this separate pool, and you're right about that. I kind of wonder, because I was looking at the language in there in terms of which categories would fall under that, and I sort of feel like a lot of the categories that are described are areas that the city, is already investing in, right? So it'd just be a matter of spending the money in appropriate areas that align with the city's priorities currently.
One of the things that you want to put the money toward is, public health and stuff like that. Are you also planning on trying to take over township, or, that's because that falls into, the township. So this is in the direction that you're going on. We have two different forms of government here, and the health department is completely separate of the city of Berwyn.
was a question I had too.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good, you're
Yeah,
good.
and this is meant to supplement that. We see the city of Berwyn spending $230,000 over on payroll for culture and rec, at the recreation department. We see more than that spent on two more emergency purchases for senior vans last year. So these are areas where I'm not only proposing, solely proposing we take funds and then earmark it elsewhere. This is specific to the licensing revenue, not the gaming revenue from the NTI that the city receives, okay? But on top of that, with the fees, you do get an additional buffer. So we are creating net new revenue.
Okay. What you could ask him?
I mean, I got a lot of questions, but they're kind of specific to the language, so I just wanna,
Good.
I don't know how you wanna organize this in terms of like going section by section, or what would be kind of the.
Yeah, just for, from an order perspective, the way I've broken it out, if there's no more questions of the presentation, we'll have an opportunity to discuss each and every single line item posed here.
Okay, so Mike, so real quick, you discussed that I grew up here, I've walked, and I'm sure you guys have also, I've spoke to residents, I have talked to businesses, just walking and talking in the last 2 months, just out there all the time. One of the biggest concerns, okay, is taxes. And you're talking about the storefronts, and I believe you have an equation of why the rent goes up because of the value, because there's less empty storefronts, and I guess it would drive it down, but most of the reasons that rent is up is because of taxes. I'm telling you right now, if you're gonna talk to people about raising taxes, it's gonna raise rent too. I
But
mean,
we're not talking about raising taxes.
But I'm saying, but if you're taking money away, and right now we're already, this is my biggest concern
We're
here.
increasing revenue.
I understand, but you're also gonna take money out of it. In my eyes, I see the money's gonna be going out of the general fund. Okay, especially in the situation that we're in right now. Okay, that's the point, that we just got the budget of 2024 going to 25, and they just explained everything and the concerns. And guys, you are out there talking to people. And once again, I commend anybody that comes and talks. I do, I really do, because this is America, and we're allowed to speak our voice, and we're allowed to bring your ideas, and we should be able to sit down and figure out a common ground. We should, we really truly should, okay? But in the situation that we're in, we're doing it, we're discussing, but one of the biggest concerns is, I'm telling you, inflation's up, this is going up, and now you're gonna, my taxes, what I'm paying on my house are ridiculous, and if there's another small increase, then we're gonna slip into another field of like, okay, well, luckily I have a job and I'm working, but a person like my mother, or a person like my sister that's handicapped, that is on a very tight budget, and then their rent, guess what's gonna happen to their rent? It's gonna go up. So we're in a difficult position. We really truly are. But we need to be able to sit down and really thumb through this, because what we just got presented 2 weeks ago is not good.
Yeah, yes, and I think another flavor to that is, are we spending too much in the various departments? So it's not always about, one side of it, I think, from the tax perspective is, okay, we need to spend this much. But I think with a prudent review of the budget process, which we'll certainly be going through over the next couple of months, we need to understand why we're over on different places, which I've already started my fact finding on, and understand why we're over, and how can we prevent that going forward, so we don't have to increase taxes. So that's one of the things that I've been doing with the finance department.
I think there's a bigger concern about, are you pulling money out of the general fund, and then, is that a bad thing necessarily, right? Because, that money will go toward other projects that the city desperately needs, but it seems like, based on the language, it's not gonna, like, close down any places that have gambling currently, so it's not like Is that
No, the revenue stays.
my understanding? Okay.
And by all means, gentlemen, I have, like I said, I've worked on the, an ordinance for this, and so I understand the importance of not being overwhelmed for the residents of gaming areas. I have had discussions the last 3 months with the mayor, and this is where I ask of you, do I see eye to eye with the mayor all the time? No. I'm constantly beating this drum. I don't. Do I argue behind closed doors? 100%. But we're discussing things. The thing is that there has been discussions about, hey, about the machines in gas stations. No. He didn't agree with that either. But until you have that conversation, and I understand where you're coming from, I do. But the fact of the matter is just at least attempt. That's all I'm asking.
Attempt.
Just attempt to go talk and be like, and obviously this is already out, so cat's out of the bag. But the point is to sit down with legal and say, hey, what, obviously, whatever you put together is really well done. Okay, it's really well done. But sit down with legal, sit down with the mayor and discuss this and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And if he steps on your toe with that, okay, then you
I mean, certain
Oh.
things, not everything has to go through the mayor before it comes to committee, right? Like, we can, that's what the purpose of.
I understand, yes.
And that's why I'm doing it this way. I would also say that that's not the way that it does, that's not the way it works for some other things, right? Which you can acknowledge where we're not informed about these different things. So I understand that, and I'll take that suggestion and feedback to heart, and definitely follow through getting input from the mayor when it's applicable and necessary for something to bring to committee. I think this is the forum to discuss that openly.
And I applaud you. And I said that. And I told this to everybody here. I'm grateful everybody's here. We're discussing this. This is a democracy. This is what makes this country great. And we're gonna walk out of here, we're gonna shake each other's hands, we're not gonna punch each other. I hope. Okay, but the fact of the matter is.
I don't know, I'm looking over my shoulder tonight.
But the fact of the matter is that we're gonna discuss this, okay? But I do have some concerns, and like I said, I understand, I know there's certain things that need to be changed. And so that's the only thing, is that in some cases saying, hey, this is my intentions, or that's how I would approach it. I have fought the battles, okay, and I've also gone in and said, this is what I want, these are my issues. Okay, so that's all I'm saying.
Sure.
There's things I want to change too. I think it would be good to get into the language if it's
Yep,
possible,
please.
because that'll be where the.
Sure.
Can I
Okay.
make a quick suggestion?
Yeah.
Just from previous committees, if there are things that like you all feel, just based off of going through thing by thing, you can go through all of them, right? That's totally your guys' prerogative too. But just to know that like, this is a process, right? So today y'all might have these conversations and might identify some common ground and some things that you feel like, hey, we can work with this, we can propose something like this, or we can push this forward, right? But like, not getting stuck on the like totality of it, you know what I mean, holistically. And so there's a lot of items on there for you to cover today, a lot of things for you to get through. There's a lot of ideas and thoughts on this issue, right? And things were shared today, and so not kind of getting yourself stuck in that.
Sure.
But going
And to your point, I think, that one of those is 879B 14, I believe. You're talking about the general fund, so that's something that we can talk to once we get to that. That's more specific to the earmarking for that.
My apologies. Can you toss those numbers out again?
I won't go there right next.
Oh.
We'll get to that. I want to
Not
know where.
fine.
Yeah,
I'll
don't
keep
want to
it
follow
quiet.
that.
I'll keep
So,
it quiet.
thank you, Alderman Bolt. All right, so we'll now move on to item 5, review proposed ordinance changes, chapter 879B. First up is item 5A, section 879B.01, definitions. What it does is it expands and clarifies who counts as part of the gaming ecosystem and narrows the definition of video gaming cafes. Why it's needed, it prevents loopholes, shell entities, or affiliates hiding control and ensures cafes that are primarily gambling can't disguise themselves as restaurants. The committee will now entertain a motion that section 879B.01 definitions be recommended for full council review. As chair, I so move. Is there any discussion?
Hold on, we're still talking about the definitions.
Yeah, definition section.
That's a
I
good-
looked through the definitions, and, I mean, they tend to be pretty straightforward and boring. I didn't have anything that popped out that seemed to catch my eye of the changes. Obviously, that city council as an example, like a definition, and agent.
Agent, city council, representative,
And then change the definition for video gaming cafe.
that's correct.
So the idea is with the video gaming cafe definition, it just it seems, I don't know, the difference is going from, instead of saying it's primary source of revenue to they derive at least 50% of its revenue from video gaming. Is that just to give like a more clear cut?
It narrows the definition. The rationale here is we understand that gaming is here to stay, but we also understand that there's existing legislation that Alderman Polacek had alluded to. But we also have seen extreme exponential growth in the number of gaming licenses above and beyond the max number of gaming specific cafes.
15, right? Is that
15, that's correct.
But so then the idea is, under the current definition, there's 55, 56 that would not meet that definition, that have gaming terminals in their establishment, but that are not gaming cafes.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Based on the interpretation of the existing ordinance.
Okay. Gotcha. Are you seeing that on page 9? So just change the language a little bit. If you have any thoughts,
The definition doesn't change it doesn't materially change anything up until how it's tied to some of the other aspects and sections later on.
Sure.
So we're just pointing that out there.
We don't have to, I mean, we're not making determinations
Yep.
necessarily right now, but it would be
And I still would like to sit down with,
You know, it just
city
shows
council,
you
with council, and be able to go over this and find out, I mean, to find out the geology of and changing certain things and what can be stricken and what cannot. I mean, I get it, okay?
that's the point of this though, right? Is to
Okay.
kinda-
That's my motion is to be recommended for full council review. We can discuss, I'll then take a vote.
Is this going to go, my apologies, for interrupting. Is this gonna go to council or committee of the whole?
So if you recommend it is for committee of the whole.
Okay. Okay, for the committee of the whole.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Which we have mostly everyone here already.
If we can come back to it too, it's not like we have to make a vote right now necessarily about whether it goes on.
Let's go, let's,
You know what I mean?
let's keep going,
There's
then. let's.
Bigger items to talk about, you know.
Do you want
And
a
then
vote, do you want a motion to table for that being, or we can take it off the table?
Oh,
Otherwise,
okay.
I have
You got the motion, so.
a motion right now already. No, so my motion right now is chair, I so move. Is there any discussion? Okay, and all those in favor?
Of discussion.
No, of entertaining the motion initially, I said.
Oh, so we can make a secondary motion to table then, is that what you're saying?
If you so choose, that's.
Is that something you wanna do to?
I'm just, I'll vote present, because I still think, I'm not feeling, I don't feel comfortable. I just still wanna look at all this and read it,
So all those in favor would say aye, those opposed, nay.
Can I make a secondary motion to table till the end of the meeting?
Yep.
Okay, I make that motion. Before we do rush and go through stuff and kind of.
Motion
see what we
carries.
do.
Section
Make a-
879B.
Finish the first motion before you go
Sorry.
on to the second.
Yes, because I made that motion. So again, the committee will now entertain a motion that section 879B.01 definitions be recommended for full council review. As chair, I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You would second. Well, you're then motioning on my thing then. So you'd want to
Motion on.
place your motion to table it. All right,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'd like to make a secondary motion to table section 879B.01 definitions until the end of the meeting.
Teddy, do you want to?
Second, sorry.
Did you finish the first motion?
I believe secondary motion usurps the primary motion.
You need a secondary vote.
You made the secondary motion, I seconded it.
Okay.
Okay, so, the motion to table, carries section 879B.01 definitions, will be tabled to the end of the meeting. We will now move on to item 5B, section 879B.02, authority of the liquor commissioner. What this does is it transfers ultimate decision-making for one office to the elected council, with the commissioner serving in an advisory admin role. Why it's needed? It increases accountability, transparency, and prevents unilateral decisions in such a high-impact area. The committee will now entertain a motion that section 879B.02, authority of the liquor commissioner, be recommended for full council review. As chair, I so move. Is there any discussion? Alderman Caldwell?
So in the first paragraph, it transfers responsibility to city council. Liquor commissioner gets written out. I guess I wonder whether liquor commissioner needs to be retained in there, just to recognize it as a position that still has some authority. So the current language, or the revised language says the city council shall have jurisdiction subject to and concurrent with jurisdiction of the Illinois Gaming Board over and shall supervise all video gaming operations in the city governed by the Video Gaming Act and regulations promulgated pursuant to the Video Gaming Act and this chapter. So we're talking about the chapter, and the liquor commissioner does have responsibilities later on in the chapter. And so I guess I'm wondering if, instead of just
Inclusive
removing-
of the liquor commissioner?
Yeah, if it needs liquor commissioner and city council.
My,
You know what I mean?
yeah, no, and I get you, and I understand completely. This is a change of our legislative process, and once again, we're changing how the city of Berwyn is run. When do we feel like having these, you wanna do these changes, we're gonna present this to, or you're gonna present this to this committee of the whole. And once again, I highly recommend that we're gonna definitely need the city attorney to be involved with this and make sure that everything's, because,
Buttoned up.
yeah, I don't understand, I do understand what you guys are trying to accomplish here. But this is literally changing our form of legislative process, and it's gonna open up, I don't even know what's gonna open up until we sit down and discuss. I know we're discussing this now, so.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys would know, if you're doing a new ordinance or something like that, it goes through legal review prior to anything being,
Right, you
like,
send it to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
send off to
Send it to the corporate authorities.
Is that, okay, so, you know, they'll be involved for sure to make sure that we're not breaking any laws or doing anything that's gonna, get us in deep trouble.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they're doing their job. But to your point, it does, you know, obviously this starts off with a bang, sort of saying like city council would take over voting, about new liquor licenses. So it kind of transfer that power from the liquor commissioner to city council, which is a big change.
Yeah.
I think the other issue that I see in the language is with the suggested changes, section A, it identifies that the liquor commissioner is gonna be the one responsible in that section. But then B and C don't identify who has the jurisdiction. So I think clarifying that would be helpful. So in A, the liquor commissioner shall investigate applicants and determine their eligibility for location licenses and submit a recommendation to city council. But then B, it just said, it's the language that I have before, yeah, page 9.
Do you have a proposed amendment?
I guess I wanna kind of discuss I don't have a clear picture of who should have the jurisdiction or administering powers depending on which section you're looking at. So, you mind if I just read it out loud?
Can we just, instead of voting on everything while we're talking about it, because this is like the first time I ever actually get this in my hand. So can we discuss this and go through it first and then go back?
No, we'll do it in order, because I wanna make sure that we're following the proper procedure. If you wanna make a motion to skip that, and table all items, we can entertain that.
So moved.
No, you would.
I'm making a motion to table going through all of this, just piece by piece, so we could actually discuss
That's what
this.
we're doing, we're going piece by
But I
piece.
understand, so, but eventually something's gonna be titled from one page, from page 9, and it's gonna go to page 18, and then from page 18, we're gonna go back to page 14. So that's if we could just making a motion to just go through everything without worrying about making any motions after the fact of just going through it and discussing this, and then go back, and then we'll be able to vote on each individual amendment.
I would say, I think it's really just the definitions one that has like implications on the later sections. I mean, obviously they all work together, but we could do that if that would be useful.
I just wanted to be able to go through it and see what's touching, what's going from one place to
Before we
another.
vote on anything.
I just want, we're talking about clarity, I just want some clarity here.
Sure.
So that's it.
So you would make a motion, you need a second for that. If that, you don't get your second, your motion fails, and then my motion will proceed for calling for a vote.
Make a motion to, what's the exact verbiage you want me to say? To proceed to go through all,
To review all
to review,
proposed
to do
ordinance
a
changes.
complete review, prior to individually voting, going through each individual one and then voting on them separately.
Second.
Okay. Motion carries.
Sorry.
So you just proceed, keep talking about the.
Yeah, so we'll proceed into the next one.
Which is.
But let me just state for the record here, the motion to table sections $879 B.01, 879 B.02, 879 B.09, 879 B.11, 879 B.13, 879 B.14, 879 B.15, 879 B.16, 879 B.17, 879 B.20, 879 B.22, and 879 B.24, and 879 B.14I, 879B.27 and 879B.28. Table 2 after review during the Licensing and Taxation Committee meeting.
Thank you. That was, I mean, you
No.
read all that.
Formalizing for the record.
Oh, I get it, I get it.
Okay, so now we'll move on to, onto item 5C, 879B.09.
Well, actually, sorry, can we talk,
Yeah.
finish convo about O2 before we move on?
Sure.
Would that be-
Yep.
I figured I'd come back to the end.
Sounds good. So, yeah, so under 879B.02, section B, so I just wanna read it out loud. To have jurisdiction and supervision, subject to the jurisdiction and supervision of the Illinois Gaming Board over all video gaming operations in the city and all persons in establishments where video gaming operations are conducted. I think, probably both need to be included.
So liquor commissioner and city council.
I would guess, because it's gonna be a shared responsibility.
Yeah, but once again, I mean, who's gonna have the jurisdiction? I mean, it's the,
It
right
would be
now.
both, cause it depends on the jurisdiction that comes in the later sections, right? Cause this is just kind of the setup for who has authority rather than the specifics of like who's doing what. That's my understanding at least. What do you think?
I agree, by having both for the jurisdiction, in part because of, the mayor is gonna retain control as the true liquor commissioner from a liquor licensing perspective, which is, differs from the video gaming license. So I think the addition of the liquor commissioner and city council shall have jurisdiction is the language needed.
Seems to make sense to me. And then section C, to adopt rules for the purpose of administering the provisions of this chapter and to prescribe rules, regulations, and conditions under which all video gaming in the city shall be conducted. I think again, this is both, probably. So it's really only section A where it would be liquor commissioner specific, and then B and C would be both, would be my assumption. But
You could have both.
I would guess, yeah, that, both would be wrapped up in that section. That's all I got for that
Thank you.
area for O2.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5C, section 879B.09, restriction on licenses. The key changes here, it increases the minimum number of feet that a gaming location can be located from 100 feet to 1,000 feet. In section 1 there, and 2, it updates city council language with consultation with the liquor commissioner. Undue economic concentration, section D, under 1, updates liquor commissioner and city council verbiage. Next page, page 12.
May I ask you a question, put a question?
Yeah.
Please. So you have 1,000 feet. That includes, government offices, churches, or establishment, what you call it, place of worship, thank you.
And substance abuse treatment centers.
Parks too.
Yeah, I mean, realize that that footprint, if you remember how we were talking about it when we had the American with Disabilities Act, for the circles, the concentration. It might not be that prevalent on the south side, but on the roadside, you know, there is 1,000 feet. And I look at it as a firefighter, the amount of hose, that's a pretty long distance. And I understand that I would assume that you're looking at it from perspective of keeping a tavern away from, a school, and but I'm just trying to think of.
It ties
No,
into the over-concentration, and the way
But you're gonna put, the point that I'm getting at.
we put more protections in for a horse bedding track. And it's incumbent upon us, we have it 100 feet. The gaming board has, you can have another, like, gaming location within 1,000 feet of a horse track. This is nothing new for me, this is increasing that in line with what the state already does.
Am I allowed to talk? No?
No,
Sorry.
just, I think it's a little extreme too. I was thinking, you know, because we live in a walkable area.
It's gonna push, it's gonna make certain areas,
Call me at some point.
it's gonna concentrate, it's gonna be,
Well-
what you're trying to accomplish, it's gonna funnel everything into certain areas.
You got, yeah, that's true.
And I'm just, that's what I'm saying, is you got
Although there is.
this circle here, this circle here, this circle here, this circle here, this 1,000 feet here. And the only places that you're gonna be able to have an establishment is this, and then we just literally shot ourselves in the foot.
Although there is an extra statute about distance between gaming establishments too. I looked at some other municipalities that have gaming to kind of see like, okay, what's their distance boundary. Some places do have longer distances, but 500 feet seem to be kind of the
Average.
go-to. And I tried to track that on Google Maps, you know, using their, like, you know, radius thing from like Proxa and the parks in the area, government buildings, and it seems to work out pretty well. It seems to like, at least from my perspective, seems fair in terms of, you know, you're keeping gambling establishments, video gaming far away enough from places that really shouldn't have them close to them, without essentially covering all of Berwyn, you know, with restrictions, yeah.
When you were looking into that, is the 500 feet about like a block and a half, 2 blocks?
It's like, well, on the depot, like it's about 1.5 depot blocks.
Okay.
On the skinny side. So
Just so you guys know, we're the only ones that are supposed to be discussing this.
Oh, sorry, you need to get
So,
approval
yeah,
from.
just like,
You're right, you're right.
we're violating.
Okay.
Please continue.
You know, 500 seemed like a reasonable amount, you know, so it's not 100, because I think 100 is like pretty dang close, you know, from like a school or something like that. But 500 seems reasonable without totally.
So here's the thing, is we're also discussing this, and we're with people that came, with the business owners that came here. This is a fine line of teeter talk. We gotta work with the residents, we gotta work with, help with the businesses. We should also try to encompass and bring in, BDC and discuss this, because, you know,
That's what we're doing.
no, I'm just saying, we should really, the next step while we're going forward and whatever's gonna get to committee of the whole, make sure that we invite BDC to
Totally,
discuss this
yeah.
and have these ideas, because if there's going to be some kind of change here, you wanna get the proper feedback from all spectrums of.
Would you agree that gaming is over-concentrated today in specific corridors?
Listen, I'm not, in the 6th Ward, I get it, that's why I came, look, Johnny, this is one of the reasons why I came up with that ordinance.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's why
I think it's a good ordinance.
we need to continue to refresh these, right? And I
Okay,
think that's what.
yes, but once again, I mean, that's, when you look at it and you do the 1,000, to me, I mean, I wanna look at a map and be like, okay, look at, you know, try wanna be able to do this properly
Mhm.
and make sure that we don't, cut off our nose and bite our face.
Mhm.
You know, that's the only thing I'm bringing across, like, hey, 1,000 feet, that's excessive. I understand that, I understand that that we wanna do the right thing, but you're gonna funnel everything into
Do you
certain
have a
areas.
suggestion?
Yeah, we're talking about
Do you have a
suggestions
suggestion on
and
what that should be? If it's not 100, it's not 1,000, do you pick somewhere in between?
I mean, obviously it would be somewhere in between, but at the same time, I would wanna get a professional that has the map and say, hey, listen, you're gonna discuss this, we're gonna discuss this, can you please bring up where all the taverns are? Where all the, and then where, like, literally, what would be the areas that would be a go-to place? What would be a legal place for these places to be, and which one falls in a no-go zone?
Well, I guess that is a question for clarity, like, you know,
Yeah, thank you for Virginia.
Oh, that was pizza.
This wouldn't, this would eliminate, like, if there's a place that falls in this right now,
Existing today, this does not impact existing locations.
it would,
It
so
does
they,
not.
they could continue, like, we're not taking away somebody's license who, like.
Correct,
is-
this does not touch existing licenses.
Okay, so this would just be going forward, if you're applying, you have to be outside
And
of.
we can all acknowledge here that we're over-concentrated already in these commercial corridors.
Yeah.
So if we think about after, should we talk about the moratorium, we're not there yet. After that assessment is done, after we get more information, after we understand the social and economic impacts of this, is 1,000 feet the correct way to go forward?
Right. Yeah.
For net new licenses.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think, personally, I think that 1,000 is too much. I think 500 is a pretty reasonable compromise without like you're talking about eliminating large commercial areas. Like you look at the district depot and, if you're doing, I guess this goes along with the next item too, which is 1,000 feet from another licensed video gaming establishment. That's
That's a city,
that's like
literally,
4
that's
blocks or
each,
something like
that's
that.
literally, literally, roughly 2 blocks, 2.5 blocks.
On the
No,
depot,
3 blocks,
on
3
the-
blocks.
On the depot with the short side, it's about 300 feet, I
So
wanna
you
say.
got- You got 300 feet.
So you got 3 blocks, yeah, 3.5.
So you got 3 lots.
Right.
Roughly, give or take the street size and.
So I think
that's-
that also maybe could be,
The thing is that you're gonna come when, and I know that you had, I'm gonna jump the gun, I'll show
No,
you.
yeah.
No.
well,
because
we
this
talked
is-
about the whole thing, we can.
So,
Yeah, just
You're-
let us know which section you're going to.
So, you're talking about 1,000 feet,
Yeah,
and then you're gonna, as far as, where's that one as? Someone continue, I'll find it.
well, that's all that I had for this section, is just like, I actually was wondering if we wanted to add one more business type or organization, whatever you wanna call it, type to schools, parks, government buildings, substance abuse treatment centers, or places of worship. I wonder if we wanted to include hospital on that list, understanding that McNeil is, in the depot area as well, but.
So, here, so, we're talking about that, 1,000 feet.
Well,
I'm just saying,
I'm not
1,000 feet,
but-
if we're only looking at 1,000 feet, there goes our 2 acres of land that we wanna redevelop. You just killed that.
Yeah,
There's
well,
a but I'm just,
different
I'm
types
just
of
saying,
businesses, but
but
yeah,
I'm just saying,
I hear what you're saying.
but, so we're also we're also looking at this and trying to figure out what you wanna do, but the point is that this also is gonna discourage some of the development that we want. We got to look at this a proper way, and I know we're discussing it, I'm just repeating
Yeah.
myself over and over. And I understand there needs to be some change,
Yeah.
okay, but I'm just saying,
I don't think the discouragement's there, I would disagree, and in part because there's a property on Ogden Avenue just east of Bridgeland Avenue that's being openly marketed, that says it has gaming, says it has a cannabis license, and that property continues to remain vacant, and the former owners lost that particular property. If gaming was such a draw, or if that this would potentially discourage, I think that property would be picked up immediately.
I don't know which property you're talking about.
This is the property, again, just east of Ridgeland along Ogden. It's one of the ones that was voted on in May at the same council meeting that we were all sworn in on.
Gotcha.
I don't know which property we're talking about.
It's on Ogden originally.
Okay, so,
Cause I agree with you, I think that we gotta find the distance that's gonna work, right? Cause I think, you know, addressing over concentration is gonna be important, but not doing so in a way that, you know, essentially makes, gaming totally non-viable, or that creates concentration in other ways that we don't want. So, I don't know, I think finding.
So something to, at least I think, we can agree on the idea that 100 feet might be too small, 1,000 feet is too much. Again, nothing is final here today, and discussion open to, you know, talking about that distance a little bit more.
Yeah, I would be interested to, I mean, I looked at other municipalities and 500 seems like a standard, but we could keep the conversation going in terms of like, and that's also something that could be talked about in COW too, you know, to further hash out, if people, you know, that feels like it's not gonna work for people.
and then the next one is,
879B.11, display of licenses, hours of operation. What is added here is it includes the city council in consultation with the liquor commissioner as part of the section C. So no video gaming terminal may be played except during legal hours of operation allowed for the consumption of alcoholic beverages. This doesn't change that process, this just incorporates the city council in that decision making.
So essentially, council would decide to terminate the license instead of the liquor commissioner.
In consultation with the liquor commissioner.
Right, so the liquor commissioner would kind of make the recommendation.
Yes.
And
yes.
council would
Mhm.
execute it. Is there, does that bring up issues in terms of timing? You know, okay, let's say someone violates their license, is there a need to terminate immediately? Or, is that something that like, okay, if you waited 2 weeks, it wouldn't be a big deal?
there's, I mean, the thing, I mean, you do need, so if something happens, and I know, I've heard things in the past, and I don't travel many taverns, but the liquor commissioner could put your liquor license temporary and close you until there's a hearing.
Yeah.
There's been incidences, I know a couple times in the city that he's pulled it. There was an incident that would require someone to use a camera.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I also know this because I work on the, you know, where I work.
Mm-hmm.
So that you would, I mean, in reality of things, the liquor commissioner, you would need someone.
And he
So that
retains
actually-
that authority,
yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
This
It's
would be gaming
termination.
license specific, this would be, we're not asking for authority over
Suspension.
suspension of liquor, from a liquor license standpoint, this is specific to the gaming licenses.
And
So if there was something that happened that transpired, that would warranted, that bar to be closed or the liquor license pulled, that can happen, more immediately.
and that's a good point, I thought it was suspension, I wasn't thinking, but if it's termination, then there doesn't seem like there's a huge rush. Okay.
Yes,
I didn't have any questions about that.
license,
Section.
qualifications.
Moving on, 879B.13, licensing qualifications. What this does is enforcement authority is shifted from the liquor commissioner alone, and adds in city council oversight with the liquor commissioner taking on an advisory role. Why it's needed, it adds transparency and public accountability in licensing qualifications.
I don't have any questions about this one. Seems like it's just adding city council to the
That's correct.
equation. Oh wait, I did have a question.
Which page? I have the page number.
Page 13. Number 6.
Mhm.
I was wondering if we wanted to add in the language that's been used elsewhere of like, any applicant for any license under this chapter has the burden of proving his or her qualifications to the satisfaction of the city council. And I wonder if we wanted to add in consultation with the liquor commissioner, just because
Yeah, I like the consistency.
it's consistent, and also the liquor commissioner is gonna have more information about qualifications and whether they're meeting them.
Alderman Wojcik, any questions on that one?
No.
Section 879B.14, licensing procedures. What this does is it ties license costs to actual gaming profits and freezes expansion until impacts are studied. This will be scaled by NTI, net terminal income, adding in a 2-year moratorium on new licenses with a review committee. This ensures fairness, big earners pay more, prevents unchecked growth, and gives the city data to make informed policy.
So this is the section that a lot of people were upset about because of the switch to this kind of tiered licensing system. One question that came up for me was, I don't know if you have these numbers or not, but if this were to switch, right? Like, let's say we just took this as it is and put it in, what would be the projected revenue increase?
Yeah, so currently right now, 1/1/2025 through 8/31/2025, 25 fall into the lowest tier, gaming establishments.
Okay.
6 fall into the middle tier, 4D fall into the top tier.
So you were, my apologies for not paying attention.
This is again through.
The low tier, how many?
There is 25 currently
In the low?
in the low tier, 6 in the middle tier, and then there are 40 in the high tier. This takes into account the net terminal income for the top 40 across those establishments is at $11.5 million.
And added?
That's net terminal income.
That's how much they make from the terminals.
No, so net terminal income is not necessarily the business shares, so
So that's the
uh,
shared amount.
That's the actual terminal income. There still is the state share and municipality share. But as of right now, we have, again, this is through the end of August, so it's not a full year. There are 15 establishments over $100,000 in their business share.
15 establishments over
$100,000 in their business share, their take, after municipality, after the state.
But you said 40 earlier would be in the
Yeah.
top tier.
That's correct. So, again, this is based off of NTI, net terminal income, right? So the NTI, we have, that number is gonna be higher, because that is prior to the state taking its share.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So we have at least 2 establishments over $800,000 so far through the first, through 8/31. A lot of them are falling into, and again, this is not their take-home pay. I want to make sure that's clear. They still have to pay a lot to the state and municipality, but we do see some, at least in the top.
By all means, I'm not defending the people that are making a tremendous amount of money. I've lived here for 48 years.
And I think that's why our fresh perspective, or a new perspective, understanding that.
Let me finish, please.
Please, continue.
It's, if you talk to business owners, and you see businesses open and close, taxes. Taxes.
That's a big deal.
We have mechanic shops that are paying tens of thousands of dollars, which then translate when you bring your car in to get it fixed. And they're not even involved with the gambling thing. But once again, the point that I'm getting at is that a lot of these taverns and these restaurants don't have an apartment attached to it, so they're paying the highest quality point of taxes. I highly recommend to look at the tax base and talk to the businesses in your area. When we have an open forum at city council and people come and discuss certain things, you gotta understand, I'm not defending the people that are making, their end was 400,000 or their cut was, I get it, there's 1 or 3 businesses that are making a tremendous amount of money, okay? But some of these businesses, I mean, they're for a storefront, they're gonna be paying 22,000 for taxes. And they might not even know it, so that gets transferred right over to the rent. You know, and once again, I don't wanna be dead horse, thank you very much. But BBC, they'll be able to tell you what the average square foot for Cermak, Roosevelt, Ogden, Depot District, what they all go for in different places. You know,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
sorry. But that's my, like I said, I'm not defending the high end, the extreme high end earners, I'm not. But at the same time, I also had, when a business license came up to me, that there's a new business that wants to come in, and they're like, hey, listen, this business wants to come in. The storefront's been empty for 25, and I know for a fact, 25 years, it's not a gambling joint, or it's a nay, okay? Because there's plenty. But the fact of the matter is that there are empty store lots, and there is some kind of reason to this, because it makes some sense. Not to the point that we have this many, I understand.
Sure.
I'm being a dead horse again.
No, I think, I mean, obviously we had people come in who they're really worried about this item in particular, right? Which is, okay, you know, you're really gonna be changing people's, how much they're paying, doubling it in some cases, right, to operate. You know, and I think that's a consideration. The spread is a little weird, cause it seems like it goes from, you said 15, 6, 40?
25, 6, 40.
25, 6, 40. And I wonder if there's a way to, if we're
Not
trying
a
to
full
go
year,
for-
that's just, that's of right now.
As of right now.
Yeah. Through the first, through 8/31.
I wonder if, you know, if you're gonna have a tiered system, you wanna make sure that it's like tiered appropriately so that it's, you know, you don't end the year and everybody's in the top tier, right? But it seems like there's questions about that tiered system generally versus like the flat fee. So I wanna be considerate of that, right? Businesses are trying to operate, obviously if they're being very successful with the gaming, there's sort of I think it's totally understandable to say, okay, well, you know, maybe there comes additional costs that come along with that, sort of like if you're getting a permit, you know, and you're getting charged a percentage of the cost to do the work, right? But maybe 2,000 is too steep.
Would we agree, I mean, would we agree that it would be advantageous and prudent to review the licensing fees to understand that maybe $1,000 is not enough. We do this on the residential side, we review permit fees, we review public works fees. Why wouldn't we do the same for a licensing fee?
No, totally.
That to my understanding, it's been $1,000 for a good amount of time.
Okay.
No, I agree. I mean, we're doing that right now with, permit fees, right?
Correct.
Going through that process. So like, I think that it's good to evaluate and update,
So
especially when it's a.
we're going to take out your tier thing and just say reevaluate them?
I'm not necessarily totally opposed to the tiered, but I think you gotta do it right in a way where business owners aren't gonna feel like, oh man, now I'm getting,
Hosed.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, I won't vote for this unless it has, like, just to review it,
Again, we'll have an opportunity to vote at the end, or you'll be able to.
but I'm just saying, but.
On the record, vote either.
No, I
yes or no.
understand, but I just wanna get the verbiage cleared out.
Sure, and I'll take that into account, as part of the submittal to Cal.
Okay.
Okay, so, any more questions on that one?
Yes. So this is also the section that brings in the fund, dedicated fund.
This is page 20 for reference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's public health and addiction prevention services, youth and after-school programs, community beautification projects, residential fire safety programs, and affordable housing and tenant assistance. I agree. I think if you're talking about public health and addiction prevention services, how does that interact with the township, if that's the health district, right? Who at the city would, I guess I'm wondering, like, who at the city would be responsible for allocating that monies? My assumption would be that, like, let's say this got, went through as is, all the money would be spent on every other category, and not that one, just because of the separation, of like township and the health department versus the city.
Mhm, mhm.
So I kinda wonder, I mean, if that's gonna be the case anyway, why have it in there? I don't know. I mean, it's not, maybe you want it in there just for flexibility purposes, but.
Yeah, my thought with public health is not specific to the traditional view on this health. I include public health as rodent abatement. I include in other categories that impact the well-being of all residents here in Berwyn. So I think we can administratively try to figure out a solution here and how it would be administered, but I don't think that's advantageous for at least this discussion here.
Sure.
We can add more, add less. As of right now, there's $383,000 in licensing fees that the Berwyn receives from the VGTs. It's 383 VGTs at $1,000 per.
So that's what the fund would receive annually?
Plus any sort of increased fee on top of that.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, if the fees were to change and then that changes the amount, that would be what goes in there, okay.
Correct, yes.
I don't know, thoughts, Eddie?
No other thoughts? I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, you know where I feel I already spoke about it, so.
Can I ask about the moratorium?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, I think I understand the idea behind it, helpful for evaluating the concentration of businesses. It temporarily pauses expansion of gaming, terminals. I guess one thing that I thought should be added to this is later on, there's a conversation about undue economic concentration and like rules that dictate that. And it feels like, if you're having an ad hoc committee to do essentially work about what impact it's having, it would make sense for maybe them to give a recommendation for what undue economic concentration rules should be.
Sure, yeah, and there's a definition within the existing ordinance that effectively states that in the existing policy. So I think that's a great suggestion to have that independent resident-led voice, including business owners, to understand what that concentration means. Not just based on what the existing ordinance says.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it?
Yeah,
I think that's way too long. I think it's gonna stifle growth,
that's what she was saying
you
before.
know, there's a lot that you guys have for this bill.
It's a big one.
There's a lot that you have in this bill. And there's nothing wrong with change, again. There's just a lot.
Do you have would you propose, so from an ad hoc committee, and I liken this to what we're doing with the pool committee, right? We didn't put a time bound on this. I mean, we don't need a time bound on this, but we have some recommendations. We understand, at least from the pool standpoint, that might not happen for, you know, definitely not this calendar year, or even next calendar year. So that's the impetus behind the 2-year timeframe, to give meaningful thought to understand that the 65% Latino population is impacted by the number of gaming establishments here, more so than Forest Park, more so than some of these other areas. And that's also a benchmark of why I love Cicero, because of its Latino population. I don't mean to point my finger. I just talk with my hands. But that was the rationale, but certainly I think the 2-year time may seem arbitrary. I do think having other independent voices, not only from a business standpoint, but also from a resident perspective. I care about businesses, I also care about the voting residents. And I think we heard from both sides today about like why, you know, for and against.
For clarity, it's not, based on the language, it seems like, you know, let's say you get this committee, they do their work, let's say they do it really fast. The council could vote to end the moratorium early, right?
Yeah, so this
Or
includes.
extend it if it's necessary, like, but, you know, that's built into the language there.
Correct, yeah, the city council may extend, modify, or lift the moratorium by resolution.
And then during the moratorium, I wasn't sure. You know, it's not like it, you know, like gaming establishments stop operating, but I didn't see language about this. Is there, if somebody's license expires during that time period, they could still renew?
Correct, existing licenses, would not be impacted by that. They would lawfully be able to.
So just be new ones, new applicants.
So this moratorium shall not apply to any video gaming license lawfully issued and active as of the effective date of this ordinance. Such licenses shall be considered grandfathered and may continue to operate in accordance with all applicable laws and regulations. Okay, 879B15, denials of applications for licensure. I'm just gonna continue for.
Can we do a break?
Can I? Yeah, I really.
I make a motion to continue discussion after a short recess of 5 minutes.
5, 30 seconds, I said 5. Second.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I don't know if you saw the look on my face.
I know, I was gonna.
I'm going for a cigarette. Oh, before I pull my hair out.
What? Get out my chair.
part of it, I think we'll proceed with the meeting. Yeah, I know, I think it'll get smoother. I use the restroom, excuse me.
We all do.
That's lost.
Was the full agenda somewhere, or is that just available to council?
You mean this?
Yeah.
No, it was not. He had next one. Gotcha. Alderman had it on his back.
Oh, okay, cool.
Got some water.
You're not supposed to hear this, but what's interesting, Mr. Alderman Leisure, is that yeah, a lot of what they're proposing is essentially keeping the status quo as is. You know, so it's not saying anything about new stuff, you know, it's interesting that it's like, we can't make any changes, but like everything he's proposing is like, what's here is here, you know, and I don't know how you feel either way, but it's just, as the only other person that I can talk to during this.
Right. We can talk to each other
Yes.
now
Yeah.
because we're in recess, but,
You know, and Alderman Palachik's bringing up the fees and stuff, and I'm doing the math, and like, okay, if it increases even just $250, every establishment has 6 machines, that's $1,500 a year. You're telling me that an establishment can't come up with about $100 a month?
I don't know that government should be deciding what businesses can and cannot make.
Well, didn't you vote no on a cannabis dispensary
Right,
though?
I didn't decide on what they should be making. I decided that the people here are saying, why don't we have grocery stores?
Yeah.
Why don't we have something, we spent 8 years trying to bring that, instead of a day, trying to bring a grocery store.
Yeah.
So, that's different than saying, oh, you're having a legitimate business, let's just start tinkering.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, a lot of what he's proposing is just literally no changes. It's just giving more authority to city council who is elected, you know, and taking it away from one person.
Thanks, Rob.
Oh, excuse me.
At least that's my understanding.
Yes.
But, you know, another interesting note is that, all of the businesses decided to leave before hearing the discussion.
Yes,
They
we would have to
they seem to,
ask-
they seem to just make up their mind and leave.
we would have to
Whereas you, I don't know if you're representing as an alderman right now, or as just a resident, but I am just a resident and I am here.
Certainly not a borrower.
Me either. And that's what makes me so mad, is because I've worked in restaurants for like the last 20 years of my life.
Yes.
And I look up and down, you know, and I applaud anybody who goes into that business, because you do not make a lot of money. But if they think that the way to make money is just adding video game terminals, like, that is not attracting a crowd. I don't know. I look at a lot of the places that I like to frequent and other people like to frequent, and it seems like there's not video game terminals there. I don't know how frequently you visit them, but that's just me. And I don't, you know, Connie's the gentleman, he was from Connie's, right? He was up in the
Andy,
corner.
yes.
Yeah, you know, and I think Connie's is an example of a restaurant that did it well. They put it back in a secluded area, you can't see it. It's been a while since I've been in there, but it's not advertised across the front of every building.
I see.
You know, and I don't know if this, I don't think this committee could do, because this is just licensing, but possibly fall into building ordinance with the signs and advertisements. You know, if you're a business that's classified with the C1 gaming industry, like, you get to advertise gaming. But if you're a supposedly a bar. Like, I couldn't tell you the difference between a bar and a gaming establishment currently, based on the exterior of the building, so.
What's that?
It's lighting up a cigarette. So, no.
All right, is there, a motion to go back in for down recess?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So where we left off was,
15. It's enacted.
yes, thank you, section 879.15, denials of application for licensure. What this does, it keeps appeal and denial power with the elected body, and why it's needed is it reinforces democratic oversight and shields against unilateral or opaque denials.
I don't have any questions about it. It seems like the liquor commission retains most of the denial process. It's just that city council votes on the liquor commissioner's recommendation. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, I didn't have any, nothing popped out to me in that section.
Alderman Pelagic?
I'm not even, I'm just looking, I'm reading.
Sure. This is the far and wide the longest section, but most of it actual changes, detailed updates from city council, from liquor commissioner, with the liquor commissioner's recommendation as opposed to decision. So just how we approve handicap license plates after a thorough review.
From the city clerk.
Mhm. Moving to the next section.
My apologies, give me a second, please. So as far as, I mean, you bring up the fact that it's gonna be handled something along the lines of handicap parcel, but we also have.
Similar.
So, I understand that, in layman's terms, but as far as having there's a whole process, and there's still a person or other entities that are then handing it over to the city council saying approval or denial, giving their opinion, so once again, there's still a head
there's still that Mr. Oz somewhere that is giving the guidance.
Yeah, the mayor would still, it seems like the mayor would still give guidance.
Yeah, the mayor would provide that recommendation, right?
After the hearing.
And ultimately, it embodies a more democratic process as opposed to the unilateral decision-making that the mayor has today, where some can have gaming and some can't. Okay. All right, moving on to section 879B.17, location and placement of video.
1.6, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I skip one?
Yeah, I think 1.6 was next.
My apologies.
It's, I mean, 1.6 and,
Yes.
sorry, 16 and 15 seem pretty similar.
Yeah, so section 879B.16, disciplinary actions against licensees. Again, focusing on AC, as in city council, likewise with the liquor commissioner. So failing to comply with any order or ruling of the city council, so that's a new addition, currently reads liquor commissioner or city officers, employees or agents pertaining to the regulation. So it's a little more explicit with adding city council in. Likewise with section AT, it adds the city council in.
Where's that?
AT is located on page 28.
Oh, gotcha.
But you got on line 3, on page 29, top of the page, that you strike the city commissioner, have city council, person who has had his or her license revoked by the liquor commissioner, city council. But once again, when something needs to be acted upon quickly, you know, there's times that we have 3 weeks off.
Well, again, we're talking about gaming license, not the liquor license.
But also this is like, if it's revoked, that's not
If they-
suspended, right? That's terminated? What does revocation entail?
Revoked, there's still an opportunity to come back.
I see, okay.
And consistent with some of the other legislation passed, you need to have a valid state license, liquor license,
To get your, you
And-
have to, yeah.
in order to have a gaming license. So therefore, the mayor retains liquor license authority, not involving council. But by way of pulling a liquor license, that gaming license would also invalidate. So the mayor, if there was an emergency that needed that emergency closure for whatever reason, right? Violence, what have you, the mayor would still retain that control.
And this is 16, correct? Yes. 17.
Moving on to page 35. Section 879B.17, location and placement of video gaming terminals. The only change here is under section C. It narrows in, it defines the definition of it from may to shall in terms of the responsibilities of the liquor commissioner.
Funny enough that, well, I don't know if I can bring up possible other changes to the section. As I was reading through it, if I may, in the first paragraph and in paragraph B, there's talk about how video gaming terminals must be located in an area restricted to persons over 21 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no language around what that means, and you know, I know that in other places there is conversation like having some kind of physical barrier with an entry point and maybe even signage to like demarcate that, hey, this is for people who are 21 years or older.
Sure.
You're supposed, I mean, that's, I mean, when you walk into a tavern, the tavern is gonna keep requiring you to be 21 years of older to be in that establishment anyways.
Right.
But the thing is that, there's supposed to be some kind of, from what I know, now, I'm not an attorney, okay, so talk to me about firefighting, but, but the fact of the matter is that, sorry. Give me examples of some places that you're talking about, so I could try to.
Yeah,
get this in my head.
the example that comes to mind for me is in Burns, when you go, I don't know how familiar
Yes.
you are, when you go in, the gaming machines are up by the bar.
Correct.
But there's not any sort of barrier between, like, essentially that, like, there's a side entry door, you could kind of turn right into it if you wanted to, and there's no, it's not partitioned, or like, there's no demarcation that, hey, this is a restricted area.
Okay.
There are places that do separate it, and I think that is in here about, like, it has to be out of, where is it?
Well, you looked at it.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please, I didn't make that.
Any licensed video gaming locations that allow minors to enter where video gaming terminals are located shall separate any video gaming terminals from the area accessible by minors. And like if you go to Connie's, or if you go to Friendly Tap or whatever, they do have physical partitions, or like it's in another room or something like that. There's still not really any signage about like, hey, this is restricted to 21 and older. But I don't think that that's true everywhere that has these. And so,
Yeah.
and I think part of it is there's just some, it's squishy language, I think, is what I would say about like, okay, it's restricted, but how do you,
Yeah.
what are the rules around it being restricted?
Well, I mean, okay, as far as, you know, may or may not be the restaurant that you were talking about that has, but the times that I have been there,
Yeah.
I've never seen a youth
I will,
eat or drink near the bar.
no, but,
The only time I've ever seen them was at the other end of the restaurant.
sure,
Now, I don't know if they set that up like that, or if that's, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not that social butterfly that goes out every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
yeah,
Off Sundays, you know? But, the times that I've been there, I've never seen, and that's, you know, that's that. As far as, I mean, this is written down, this is what we're here to discuss.
yeah.
You know, and this will be discussed even further. You know, that's there too. I mean, if we could figure out what we need to get done to make it better, then fine.
Like, I don't think you don't need to build a whole new room for it, right?
No, 'cause
But I
I
think,
mean, I mean, then it adds a complete different dimension because
I do think
fire
that-
code, just let you know, fire
Right.
code,
Totally.
your occupancy, just alone in your tavern for the machines require certain
Right.
footage and stuff like that. So.
But I think if you had like, you know, a railing, like the flexible railing, you know, like you
Well,
have
that's
it.
impossible to cross.
It's not about it being
I know, I can't,
possible,
yeah.
but you know, that there's at least some demarcation of.
Yeah, and I think we have establishments that have one way or the other. My understanding, some of the research I did, a simple partition, not partition, but even a rope would suffice for making a physical barrier between one side and then where the gaming is.
Right.
So I don't think anyone's out of compliance from that standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Based off of what the state says.
Oh, okay.
Is my understanding. Again, I'm not an attorney that would give for a legal review. Should we talk about that? But that's a.
Yeah, I'd be curious,
Yeah.
if it's already built into the gaming laws, then maybe it's clear there, then maybe it's not as necessary if there's like stuff that they already have to follow at that level.
Yeah.
But if it's not there, then.
Gentlemen, don't forget also a lot of the businesses that we have in Berwyn. I mean, if you really sit back and think about it, unless someone comes in just recently with the gaming machines that have been going on, and they come in to redevelop the area, and they said, okay, this is gonna be square footage, it's gonna be turned like this. Some of these businesses have been established and they've been running, and when they got the machines, they're like, where do we put them? Like a tavern.
Right.
And so, I'm thinking like a business owner, you know.
Well, and again, I'm not saying you
Do
know,
the lights go down or
whole
am I
separate.
going blind?
Yeah, no, I think they do go down.
It's our motion activated.
Oh, but I think having some, like I said, like you're saying, like a rope or something demarcation. And if it's at a tavern, like a bar that's 21 and older anyway, well, you can have them anywhere you want, right? But if it's at like a family restaurant, then, you know, having.
Unless it's impeding, now here you go, and I'm gonna talk to you like a firefighter.
Yeah.
Unless it's impeding in your entry and exit,
Right.
you know, and unfortunately, sometimes these machines are located very close to the door.
Yeah.
And
And that's
so
a
then it falls into.
Some for a different day.
Yeah. That's a
That
fire
goes
code
into
issue.
So-
building department. We'll talk about that later. Okay.
But,
Uh,
yeah.
Moving on, just because there's only a minor change there. Okay, moving on to section 879B.20, video gaming cafe licenses and waiting period. Again, what this does, it hardens requirements for restaurants and bars to qualify
Or no?
and introduce gaming,
I can't remember.
video gaming when they're really gambling halls, protects neighborhood business mix, and prevents proliferation of storefront gaming parlors. The changes here, in part, Alderman Polacek, we spoke about a little bit earlier, focuses on the definition of video gaming cafes shall not exceed 15. We have 71 gaming licenses today. This effectively updates the definition, this talks about the definition of a video gaming cafe referenced in 879B.01, and then the procedure for licensing. So understanding that in the event that video gaming continues, right, there is a formal process here about those that applied first, receiving a priority. There's a compliance history with all applicable state and federal laws, including zoning, licensing, and tax obligations. There's a demonstrated investment in the community, including site improvements, local hiring, or participation in Berlin-based programs or initiatives, and the geographic distribution to avoid clustering and promote equitable access across the street.
Can I make apologies for interrupting, can I make a recommendation adding the gas stations?
Pardon me?
Adding gas stations.
And gas stations.
Video game cafes and gas stations.
So right now, my understanding is I need a pour license for the gaming license. Without a pour license, it's why, but there might be some things there.
So once again, committee of the whole, having legal there to discuss this.
Well, I think what happens, to your point, and I think, because the mayor was talking about this with me at some other point, I think gas stations were looking at getting a liquor license specifically so that they could put gaming.
Yeah.
No,
machines.
and it's not different, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
yeah, you
But
just
I'm just
apply
stating,
and get it.
when I tell you guys that the reason I'm pumping the brakes, because I want everything to be done right, to have every discussion, we're discussing everything, but at the same time, I understand that there's some changes that need to be had. Once again, I'll give you my 2 cents. And that's why I did it with this, so.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of including gas stations. Do you want, straight up question?
Now,
do
it
you
could be
think
stricken,
gas
it could
stations
move to somewhere else, I get it, but at least we can discuss it, we put it in there.
Well, do you think do you think gas stations should have gaming in them?
Do you?
No.
No.
Okay, because you could just add that as language rather than
No.
saying video gaming cafes or gas stations with gaming shall not exceed 15. That kind of opens the doors for gas stations to have gaming, right, if they were to
No,
take
okay,
the
so then
place of,
strike, then strike it out completely.
to strike what out, sorry.
Then we go with, obviously, we would discuss this with the committee and say, hey, we wanna make sure that the gas stations.
Be more explicit
I
with the
see, I see.
language, yeah.
Have that language in there.
The gas stations will not
Right.
be allowed to have
Gaming terminals.
any terminals.
I like that idea. Yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Okay, moving on to 879B. Section 879B.22, licenses subject to amendments. What this does is effectively says that clarifies all licenses remain subject to council changes. So ultimately, if we find, yeah, what this does is
Actually, yes, definitely.
what this does is clarifies all licenses remain subject to council changes. So we're not locked in here. If we find some of the things changed was not the right move, we still have the ability to make pivot and change and edit and modify as necessary. So that just ensures that that section there.
Can we, you have it in the next section? Can we do city council in consultation with the commissioner?
Yeah, so
Because-
I think I'll add that in every sort of place where applicable across the proposed changes.
Okay. Because, he's gonna know, we should make a real change.
Yeah. So we kind of just move up to section 879B, .24, initial review. Okay, that's all.
Do you mind asking if they can want separate? I know, seriously. Yeah. That never died.
So we just covered section 879B.24. Micah's comment was in consultation with the liquor commission, just making sure that's consistent with the one prior. So page 37, section 879B.27, prohibition on campaign contributions. This is a new section based on research done and looking into the amount of how much gaming has influenced local public policy with campaign contributions in the tens of thousands of dollars.
So I was looking into this a little bit. I think putting a ban could bring up First Amendment issues, just because money is considered speech.
And we also have the Supreme Court 10 years ago when they had the Citizens
Citizens United.
And so
Exactly.
I'm all, I mean,
Well, so what I've seen is you can still put a limit, you just can't ban. So you can still put a limit in terms of amount or that kind of thing, but an outright ban, especially one that is centered on a particular industry, would be like legally dubious.
Understood, okay. So what this does is, it doesn't prohibit it outright, it does allow for some amount of money to be donated, whether that's the right amount. Right now, it's marked at $150 or less per election cycle. Maybe per less election cycle is not applicable, but, or not, I'm sorry, not, that's not applicable, but maybe that's something for, further input. But I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
Alderman Colwell.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think,
this one needs some more work.
yeah, just making sure that we're not putting ourselves into any liability. I think that would be just important to make sure that it's like it's fine to have a limit, but, yeah.
Sure, okay. Makes sense.
Cause I think some of the language in here, sorry, I'm just reading this over. Affiliate, agent, representative thereof, could cast a very wide net. So like, if you're thinking about, like an employee
Yeah.
at one of the places, that kind of thing. You don't necessarily, like, it sounds like there's, some allowance for contributions, but really what we're trying to do is make sure that the people who are most invested in gaming don't have outsized influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I just worry about catching too many people in that net who.
Sure.
Makes it
Definitely narrowing in the definition, this will need some work then.
Yeah.
Maybe go back to the drawing board a little bit more.
Yeah.
On 879B, .27, prohibition on campaign contributions. Is that okay with you, Alderman Plunger?
yep, as long as we're presenting this and understanding that we're gonna have to change things around, there's nothing that we also need is a big fat lawsuit that
Yeah.
gonna cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to explain it and we lose.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
But I'm all for better transparency. Let's just get this verbiage correct
Mhm.
and make sure that it's,
It's a nice segue into section 879B.28, in terms of transparency, annual reporting requirements. What this one does, mandates regular reporting of financial and operational details. We saw today, there is already some public reporting out on the Illinois Gaming Board website, but doesn't give the full story necessarily.
so would you require the business to do this, or who would put this report together?
Correct, as part of the annual licensing fees, they renew on December 31st, or expire at December 31st each year. Understanding and tied to the tiered pricing model, who is earning from an NTI standpoint. This is also tied into the 50% mark in the definition around gaming cafes. So if we see an establishment that's not a gaming cafe, but they're deriving 90% of their revenue from a gaming cafe, is that a gaming cafe or is that a restaurant?
Right.
Just a point of question, so we're gonna require them to give us the information, the report.
And you're worried about
And then we're gonna give you the report,
49%.
yeah, and which, you said to turn it into the city clerk, so that's informational, but who,
Who audits?
you're talking.
Sure.
How many
how many liquor licenses do we have, gaming licenses?
Gaming,
71.
Yes.
So 71, you know, and I don't know, like I said, this is just something new that you're discussing. But these are all the issues that we're gonna be coming across, and then we're gonna step on someone's toes and they're like, we're gonna have to hire another 2 people or 1 person or whatever it may be in 2 and 4. I'm just saying, these are things that you gotta look at and say, what are we, you know.
I agree, I think that's when I look at it from, we have a tiered structure right now with number of cars in Berlin, right? Someone has to come in, say, okay, I have 4 cars, and with that 4th car, I'm gonna pay a little bit more. This is not necessarily a new concept, right? We're applying what we're already doing in the city of Berwyn and other departments.
But you know there's
to the
always
gaming
cheats,
industry.
just let you know.
I understand that.
So
and then
especially,
what's-
but if we're gonna talk about, you're gonna use that analogy, but there's always gonna be, there's always gonna be some kind of system unless you really crack down and you're able to dissect it and say, no, enough's enough, and you can be like, just using that car. But what happens when you have a family that lives in a whole 2 flat?
Right.
And they have 6 cars,
I think
and
that's-
but 5 of the cars are in the 1st floor apartment. And so there's always a loophole, there's always something, and there's always gonna be cracks in the system. That's why I'm asking, when that person turns in the report and says, hey, this is what I'm making, who's gonna follow it up? Or which office, which person, who's gonna look into it?
I agree, and I think that's something that, I'm of the mind that we have wonderful business owners in Berlin, and that a report submitted to the city would be truthful, and they would sign off on that. Unless there is a expectation or suspicion of wrongdoing on a signed document, I think that's up for the proper authorities to look at that. But just like legislation, there's loopholes in legislation. We've seen that loophole with the existing legislation. So that's why we want to button that up.
I think probably my suggestion is the liquor commissioner would be the one to audit, you know, or one of the people who could perform the audit, right? Obviously, they're the one that's gonna be doing hearings and suspensions and giving recommendations for revocation and blah, blah, blah. So like, it seems like that would be something that would fall under their purview. And as part of that, you know, they would be able to request other information, like tax documents or whatever, right?
I'm pretty sure that everyone's gonna be doing it. My point is, I'm not saying that we're gonna have the businesses that are gonna be doing it, that are gonna be trying to skirt the system. My point is who's going to be collecting all the information and going through it? Because you're gonna overload some department, some person with another huge task to follow through with this and to go, you know, just
Right.
think about it.
Well, I
No, I
think
agree.
administratively, again, some of these items would need to be figured out. Really what's on for discussion today is, should that be required or should it not be? If one of the reasons is because we think it'll be too laborious for, whether it be the clerk staff, the financial staff, to review 71 licenses, I think we need to have that conversation.
Can I ask a question, or what?
Yeah, you can ask.
Of the info that's being requested in this report, what isn't covered by the report that they complete for the Illinois Gaming Board? Is it just the percent of business revenue that?
Correct.
So could we, you know, just for their sake, right, for business's sake, could we have them submit their Illinois Gaming Board report and then just that number, right, and make it a lot easier for them? You know what I mean?
The Illinois Gaming Board report won't include all the detail necessary, at least from that 50% threshold discussed earlier. That will tell us their NTI though. So in determining from a tiered fee structure, that will help us determine that.
Here's a point of question for you. What is our end result of what's trying to figure out what they're making other than their their license fee? Other than
Probably license fee and whether they meet the definition for a gaming cafe, is that the idea?
Correct, right. Yeah.
And then what happens if they meet the definition of a gaming cafe?
So from a definition of, if they meet the definition of a gaming cafe, I think there had to be some type of procedure
Yeah.
that be implemented and talked about.
Like mediation or something.
Exactly.
That might be worth including in
more
section 879B.20. Maybe. So in section, it could be its own section too, I guess, but just something.
In 20,
Yeah, something about,
the reporting requirement.
well, no, if a business enters, like, becomes a gaming cafe by definition,
Mm-hmm.
what steps then have to happen in order to get the number back down to 15?
And I think also determining what's the difference with existing, between the cafe license and a establishment license from a gaming license standpoint, right? Are those the same document? Is there any distinction that says, I'm a gaming cafe, right?
Right. Well, I mean, Teddy, you have insight into this. What was kind of what was your process, or what went into like coming up with this legislation? What was the intention with like placing this limit on gaming cafes and like separating that out as a category?
Well, I wanted to protect the established businesses that were already having, the machines. And I also wanted to protect the community, not to be overrun by too many gaming places.
Right, right,
And so that's why, I put that forward.
yeah.
And it passed, and it, and so, but, I've been out of office for 8 years, so.
What's that?
I was out of office for 8 years, so,
Sure.
But that was my biggest thing, is because I listened to the residents and I also listened to the business owners, and, they both have concerns, and, they both pay taxes and both have a right to voice their opinion. So that's why I took that stance and brought that forward, because I literally it was a double-edged sword. Protect the establishments that we have here, that have been around, my apologies,
Maybe.
like Mrs. Wagner,
Mm-hmm.
that's off of Cermak, and they've been there forever. And, so why would you wanna put another cafe or another establishment right next to it, but, so that's my mentality, and that was my opinion, and that's it, so protect, because, but at the same time, they are, so protecting the people that are paying a tremendous amount of taxes, and it's not an easy thing here, and once again, not to go back to the point that if we're gonna move funds, this is the thing that scares the Jesus out of me. We're gonna take funds or shift funds from the general fund to go somewhere else. I mean, as polite as possible, there's a lot in this. I understand change is important, but there's a lot in this, and it's going to, one, step on certain departments, certain other jurisdictions, like I said, township. That's why it's like, okay, let's bring it to the committee of the whole, and we'll be able to, one, have legal there.
Right.
So.
More voices.
But what it comes down to, what it came down to was definitely defining and looking out for the residents and the businesses.
Gotcha.
That was a double-edged sword.
Well, that makes sense, if that was the intention, then, like, if you have a business that is deriving a majority of its revenue from gaming, it makes sense then to say like, we can't have you doing that, right? Cause you're not designated as a gaming cafe. We're trying to limit how many of those establishments exist. And so, you have to reduce the amount that you're making from these machines for your business, right? In order to, you know.
You're essentially, I mean, you're telling the business to shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, you're telling the business, okay,
They're not
you can't
compliant.
become a gaming cafe.
I understand, but it's like,
That's what's there today, that's not any of it, that's there today.
but I'm just, once again, we need to bring in so many more. I want this to be as best as possibly formed. And that is what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
I just really want to make sure that one, whatever's possible could be done, get done. But like I said, you gotta bring in VDC, you're gonna have to bring in legal, you're gonna have to bring in, you know, obviously, the city council, and get everybody else's opinion, because I guarantee you, every other alderman got lit up with this too.
Sure.
Like we did.
I'll add to that point from a VDC standpoint. All of council just approved 2 RFPs, on Oak Park and Windsor and along Stanley.
Yeah.
Nowhere in those RFPs did we suggest that gaming was a viable option. We didn't even mention gaming in those RFPs.
But if a brewery goes in there, which was discussed before,
Mhm.
and we discussed the hotel,
I don't know what gaming is there.
I'm just discussing.
Yeah, like,
Listen,
honestly.
you're looking, okay, and you're absolutely right. You're thinking black and white, but it never comes out in black and white, there's always a gray, there's always gonna be something.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to go with this, yeah, I would love to have that completely redeveloped and have something absolutely beautiful there with a garden on top and tremendous amount of parking and Main Street, shops there and restaurants and bars and stuff like that.
Sure.
Boom, you're gonna get one bar in there with the Main Street outlook. 2 acres, if they do a Main Street build out there, that's where we're gonna go. Guarantee you're gonna get a tavern in there.
Yeah.
And what do you think they're gonna try to go for?
But that's the point, right? Like, even one of the business owners was saying they think that Berwyn has reached saturation when it comes to gaming, right? There's sort of this feeling that, okay, we've got enough, right? Even among business owners. And so, like, why continue to have this sort of unchecked growth, you know, when it's not good for business owners in the long term, because the ones that have the gaming are gonna get screwed over by all these other businesses that open gaming, and now people are spending their money, you know what I mean? Like, if everywhere is gaming, then essentially like nobody has gaming.
I'm not disagreeing that there has to be some kind of control.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with it whatsoever, but on a major development that you're coming up with, and we don't even know what's coming there.
Sure.
But to literally take out something that might be a deal breaker for a multi-million-dollar deal.
We would limit a gun range, we would limit a strip club, we would limit the other types of places. Why wouldn't gaming fall into that same sort of category?
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, I think that.
That's a little bit more of extreme,
Sure.
because, I mean,
Tied it to
I see your, I see your point,
Yeah.
I see your point. But gaming is tied into the liquor industry. Okay, and,
So strip club.
okay, if you wanna go with the strip club, then.
I'm just thinking if like we're thinking about like $1 million investments,
But
I think we're giving the gaming a little bit too much credit and not talking about as part of the presentation, the social impact, but also that it's actually impacting restaurants like Medianoche. It's impacting restaurants like the guy that's in the first ward. It's impacting restaurants where Hollows has a pending application right now, even though Michael Anthony's has it, right? And then just further down the street, there was a pending cannabis location. So I look at that and I look at the growth and I look at the opportunistic quality of investors coming in, okay, not caring about the fabric of our community. I'm not saying that's everybody, okay, but understand that we have to, as politicians, as representatives of the people, bring their voices within, you know, this hall, that chambers. And I'm hearing from my residents, they wanna see, they want more walkability, they want less gaming, and I'm following through on that. I understand the argument from the business owner, I'm empathetic to that. I also understand what the numbers look like. I understand that there are some of the two, in the top 5, you're talking $500,000 over in NTI. So when we think about mom and pop, we should really define what mom and pop is. Because if you're making $100,000, you're making $200,000, if you're making $300,000, where do we draw that line on what is a mom and pop? I understand everyone has expenses. You all have expenses, other business has expenses, so they have their expenses, so does some of the other restaurants without gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like gaming is a necessity in order to have a business. There are plenty of municipalities around us that don't have gaming as part of their operation. I mean, Forest Park removed it, you got Oak Park, Riverside.
Forest Park, when they closed, how long you guys have been living here for?
5 years.
5 years.
How is that relevant?
Let me ask you, I'm asking you, it's not an insult. I'm just asking you, how long have you lived here for?
Long enough to realize there's too much gaming.
Okay. When Forest Park closed, just like that gentleman said, when they stopped their gaming licenses, they lost a lot of.
Sure.
That Madison Street was a huge hub, that it was like a mini Chicago version. Okay, now, as far as our as this corridor and walking, okay, that is our conversation, that's our conversation with BDC. That's
Yeah.
us giving them direction on what we need to see what goes
Well,
on.
again, I think this is actually apples and oranges, because what Forest Park did was they removed gaming.
Correct.
And that's not what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about stopping the bleeding, and saying, okay, quite honestly, we have reached an amount of establishments where
The
we
business
should
owners
really
agree?
be questioning
I agree with,
concentration.
I agree with, but putting them, like a time limit of say 2 years and so forth and so on, you're gonna stifle some kind of development. It's my job to discuss this with you guys and say, hey, what did we think about this? Did we ever think about this?
We respect
And we
that.
could, we could disagree, that's my
Yeah.
point. But my point is that we also don't wanna pass up on an opportunity just to get something like this done. Leave a door open, leave a window open for the possibility of saying, hey, this, so forth and so on. We will discuss this more in COW, 100%,
Yeah.
but I still wanna let you guys know that it still needs to be.
How would it stifle development?
We just talked about the 2 areas that we're just talking about.
$1 million properties, so anybody that's buying that. or
You don't think a
developing
developer,
it.
but you don't think a developer's gonna come in and be like, okay, it could be a Main Street storefront area, mimic something that would be in, I can't remember the spot in Chicago, because I don't know much about it. But one of those fancy places in Chicago, and try to go with something along those lines, or it could be a brewery, or it could be not dance hall, it could be the concert area that they were talking about.
Sure.
But anything and that's gonna be a huge investment, and they're gonna be looking, as a business owner, going to be looking at where else can I create revenue?
But here's.
And that's all I'm saying, I'm not arguing like, hey, we gotta add another 15 licenses to
Sure,
this.
sure,
I'm
sure.
not, that's off the table.
But I agree with you, and I think that that's part of the nice part about this, is it doesn't eliminate gaming, it still remains an option. I guess there's a moratorium piece, right? But in terms of there's still going to be opportunity to approve or deny on the council based on, the facts that we receive and based on questions about development, how will this benefit the business, the community, et cetera. It would be the same way that, you would evaluate other kinds of development opportunities, right? And there would be an opportunity to vote to decide whether that's something that you want or not. So, I just don't think that it's not eliminating the possibility, right? It's just maybe slowing the roll a little bit and making it less unilateral.
Any more discussion?
Yes, so with 879B.28, I guess my suggestion is maybe we have them only submit the information that is not included in the Illinois Gambling Board report.
Okay.
Cause we can always pull that, right? And that simplifies it for them, fewer numbers for them to have to.
And less people to look over it and try to figure it out.
Yep.
Okay.
The only other thing on that section is at the end, the last line, it says $1,000 per occurrence. And I just think, I don't know what occurrence means. Does that mean per day late, per false line item, per missed report?
Using the per occurrence, so I think the intention there is if there was one report submitted, that was a refusal to cooperate with an audit or intentional misrepresentation of financial data may result in a fine up to $1,000 per occurrence. So if I submitted a report by falsified data, that would be your, how we would enforce that. They would submit again, right? Let's say it's all smooth, we don't continue to enforce it, but let's say submit another report, it wasn't, it was falsified data. That's how the per occurrence would work.
So it'd be for false data, what if someone doesn't submit the report?
Yeah, I think that would be a nice addition, to put more explicit language in terms of found in the report. The way I would envision this would be tied to the gaming license renewal, so that report would be submitted as part of your renewal process. Just like residents have to submit a renewal for a new parking sticker, this would be documents that they need to submit a report to renew their license.
Okay. So maybe adding language that like it's a requirement for license renewal.
Has any other town, do you know any other communities that have this kind of verbiage that they use this?
Personally, specific to Berwyn, I don't know if Cicero does.
No, this isn't, I mean, I'm talking about surrounding communities, anything in Illinois that uses this kind of verbiage right
For
here.
the annual reporting.
For the annual reporting. Is there any community that does this?
In terms of video gaming terminals?
For your 879B.28 annual reporting requirements, is there any community that does this?
I think as part of business licensing, we can certainly look into what other municipalities are doing, especially related to video gaming. I will say submitting financial data wouldn't be out of the norm, though.
But this came from somewhere. I'm just asking, where did this come from? Where, so we could, if it's identical in another town, if it was challenging, we could find out where this came from, and we could find out, we could talk to the city clerk, talk to that's my point. So this, obviously you built this off of someone, so that's my point, is like, which town did you get this from, so we could literally say, okay, how do they do it? So we're not trying to recreate something that we don't need to.
Right.
Or you're gonna try to present something that you don't need to, so my question is, obviously you got this from somewhere, where did it come from?
I agree, and I think Berwyn's unique, and I think we should have unique laws and unique legislation as much as we're the same. We have a unique other areas of our sort of council process. But
I mean, my sense is it came because of the gaming cafe definition, right? Or no?
that's correct, that's where it was derived from the gaming cafe definition.
'Cause that's what
to
it's
understand
on.
that we had a moratorium there at 15, at 15, the cap, okay? We have 71 now, gaming licenses. So why is that? I think that's an open question. I know I'm not more rhetorical, right? I think that's just open for anybody.
My
for the
point
committee.
is just,
Yeah.
my point is, obviously this came from somewhere. But
I spent a lot of time.
I'm not doubting, I'm not taking away your work, I'm not taking that, it's not an insult, please, it's not an insult.
I don't take it as
All I'm saying is, just
That's a good question.
find out
if there is another entity that, or city that's doing this, just find out how they do it, and that's all I'm stating.
Sure, if they
That's
submit
it.
financial data as part of any sort of renewal
That's
process.
all I'm asking, and it's not a shot across the bow, I'm just just saying, hey, so you don't have to be, you know, there's other things that when
Sure.
you work on things from other towns, you're like, hey, I got like, you know, you find out something that Aurora's doing, it's like, okay, so you're gonna copy you're gonna pull their information
Right.
from Aurora's, or,
Right.
I'm just going to base it as Elgin, that's
Right.
all I'm stating.
Right,
Mhm.
makes sense.
No, thank you, Brian.
Cross-reference with other
That's
things.
it, that's it.
Okay. Anything else, Alderman Caldwell, Alderman Blodgett?
I guess more broadly, just wondering about how we wanna proceed, if we wanna do another, meeting with the revisions, you know, after revisions have been made, in order to have an updated thing that we then submit to
Sure.
Cal.
Well, I think what we're lacking here, to Alderman Pelagic's point, is, it's just the three of us, right? So having that dialogue amongst the rest of council with legal there could make that conversation a little bit more fruitful and also fill in some of the gaps. I do think section 879B.27, prohibition on campaign contributions, needs additional work, so I don't think we even present that to Cal as of right now. From everything else, I think that was the only one that didn't necessarily have an amendment or wouldn't be agreeable to bring to full city council for the committee of the whole. Again, committee of the whole is a discussion amongst the council, right? Council members to get everyone's feedback. With amendments tied
With
to the other
amendments.
ones.
Okay,
Yep,
that's what I was wondering.
yep. Changes, amendments that you all suggested, so like 1,500, for example,
Right,
in terms of the fee.
Thoughts?
If this is going, I mean, if it comes back to us, or the, discuss it, or it goes to committee of whole, I mean, it's still gonna be discussed.
Right.
And that's, once again, that's the most important thing. You know, the discussion is key,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Makes sense.
Okay, so why don't we do this? I'm going to,
Do you want me to make a motion to bring this,
I'll make the motion, then I'll read through everything. But you'll need to make a motion to bring us item 879B.01, or one of y'all, off the table, so we can vote on that, because that's on the table right now.
So moved. So for definitions.
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Guys have it? All right. The committee will now entertain a motion.
Can we just make a motion to put this all together and just present it to the, just present this to the committee of the whole? You don't have to go through it individually, I'll just make a motion.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The committee will now entertain a motion introducing, I'm sorry, excuse me. The committee will now entertain a motion that sections 879B 1 through 24 and 879B 14I through 879B 128 be recommended for full council review. As chair, I so move. Of the committee of the whole. As chair, I so move.
Second.
And now we.
All those in
Discussion.
favor?
What discussion?
Oh,
Are we going to bring this in the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or what?
That's a good question. 'Cause
That's my question.
Next committee of the whole is next week,
Yeah,
or it could be.
yeah,
Do you,
because
how much time do you want to get it?
Yeah, amendment's gonna take some time, so I don't.
because I
for
don't,
the
you're
next
gonna
one.
get stressed out, you're gonna look
Yeah.
like me, that's not a good thing. You know,
3 weeks.
so,
Would 3 weeks make sense?
yeah.
Anyway,
So
sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking
No.
out, just, you know,
We'll
there's.
aim for that. Just to finish that, all those in favor?
I,
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Sections 879B.01 through 879B.28 will be submitted to the Committee of the Whole for council review.
which one was that again? 879.
I bundled it right there, so you'll see that 879B01 through 879B.28.
Whole thing.
Okay. We do, okay.
All right, the committee will now entertain a motion to adjourn. As chair, I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 9:05 p.m. Thank you all.
You made a record.
Oh, man. Good job, everybody. Well done, gents.
Thank you, Tim.
Here's,
Oh, thank you very much for that.
these extras. Getting stuck through.
That's fun.
It's good to have the dialogue and conversation, and I think that's why.
That's why I don't like movie trailers today, they give away too much. You know what's gonna happen at the end, because I already showed you Godzilla Against the City. This is like a movie trailer I haven't seen before. What's gonna happen? Who's gonna drop dead? Like the old lady poisoning with cyanide.
Yeah.
As I said, the biggest thing is to try to find a common ground in this community. That's the biggest,
Exactly.
that's the biggest thing.
Exactly.